I can't think, Lonzo. I can't think of anything that would make me more miserable than this. I can't think of anything that would make me more miserable than cross-country, long-distance skiing. No, there's nothing that would make me more miserable. It combines all of the worst things: cardio, work, hills, and cold. Those are my my four least favorite things.
I can think of something worse. Any marathon. Because at least in this case, you're on skis.
Yeah, uphill. That's not how skis are supposed to work. Right?
If you had the choice, I was going to say, if you had the choice, which one are you doing?
The marathon.
No way.
Yeah, because here's the thing about the marathon. When I get tired of running, at least I can just walk a little bit. You know what happens if you stop doing that on these? You go backwards. If I stop in a marathon, I don't slide back towards the starting line. These idiots are racing up the hill. Guys, the skis work a lot better if you turn around and point them the other way. They are skiing up a hill. And in the marathon, Lonzo, you know what it's not? 7 degrees outside. At least in the marathon, I'm warm.
So if you were ever skiing somewhere, Rob Brown's there, and you're in an avalanche, you're screwed because he is not skiing uphill to find you.
Not if you're stuck. I hope they send one of them dogs with the whiskey barrels under its neck to find you, because I'm not gonna.
Do those really exist?
Yeah, St. Bernard.
I know St. Bernard exists, but do they really have
yeah, that's a real thing.
Do they still do that, though?
I don't know. I mean, I got to assume at this point we've upgraded the technology past St. Bernard that carries a flask of whiskey under its neck to warm you up when he finds you, but I could be wrong. This sport, guys, I'm sorry to start the show off with this, but I'm fascinated by it. Because I'm watching this sport. They are 10 kilometers these guys are going. I don't know how many freedom units that is, but it's a lot. 10 kilometers, I think, is like 3.3 something miles.
Well, that's not bad.
It's uphill. I would not walk 3.3 miles uphill. These idiots are skiing 3.3 miles up a hill.
All right, you were wrong by a bunch. 10 kilometers is 6.213 miles.
That's twice as bad.
Yes. That
is 2 times worse than I thought it was. Up a hill, 6 miles, and it's freezing ass cold outside. I might. You know how we ask, like, how far would you go?
They're going downhill now. So that's your reward. I mean, yeah, you got to go uphill, but you get to come down at some point. To ski down.
Okay, well then it's half uphill, which is okay, still 3 miles uphill. Here they go. This part I'd be great with. But see that little part right there? That's the whole downhill. The rest of the way it's up. 5.5 up, half a mile down to rest.
Looks like the wind's blowing pretty good
too.
Look,
I'm sorry.
You probably got some resistance
back
there.
uphill. They can't even the downhill part's uphill. This is the version of I had to walk uphill both ways to get to school. These idiots have to ski uphill both ways to win a medal.
So there's some committee somewhere that went, you know what, let's create a sport where they have to ski uphill. Yeah, no one's ever going to do that. Let's see if they will. And they did.
I had to tell you, I have the utmost respect for people who put their entire lives into 3.5 years of training to try to win an Olympic medal. But if you came to me and said, Rob, if you work your butt off, you got a chance to win an Olympic medal. Basketball, curling, table tennis, whatever. I'd be, if somebody would come to me and go, we're going to sponsor you to train for 3.5 years to become an Olympic athlete, I'd probably take them up on it, right? I'd probably take them. It'd have to be one of the sports that require, little to no athletic prowess to do. Again, table tennis, shooting, I'd be in for. Curling, obviously, I'm a natural.
Not the skiing shooting, though, because they have to ski.
Uphill!
And then shoot.
And then shoot.
Yeah.
And then stop shooting to ski uphill more.
As I call them, snow snipers.
Yeah. If you came to me and said, we want to sponsor you to go to the Olympics, and we're going to pay for everything you need to train for 3.5 years to go to the Olympics in curling or table tennis or shooting or whatever, I would probably take them up on it. I'd probably do it, right? 4 or 5 hours a day, every day with a chance to go to the Olympics in 4 years, I'd do it. But if they came to me and said, Rob, we're going to give you everything you need and $1 million to train in the uphill skiing event. Yo, I'd have stood on stage at the halftime Super Bowl show naked for $1 million. I would not do this.
Oh, I'm doing this for $1 million. Are you kidding?
So,
imagine the amazing shape that you'd be in.
I'm going to say this with no disrespect intended. Your knee would explode on the first half of the first uphill mile.
Oh, without a doubt, but I'm taking the money.
Ugh. No, just no. Look at these guys. They look miserable. Just won an Olympic medal and look like they still want to die. I'm good. Ladies and gentlemen, the Rob Brown Show is on your radio. This is ESPN Upstate. Let's get to the show. Let's start right now.
Let's do lunch.
This is a very nutritious lunch. All the food groups are represented.
You guys are here.
What in the wide, wide world of sports is going on here?
The lunch breakdown of 3 things you have to know before you go start talking sports with your friends, family, coworker, or the dog, whoever you spend your lunch break with when you gather around the lunch table. These will be the 3 items that you are discussing today. We start with item number 1 on the lunch breakdown. You know, I've told you guys in the past that when it comes down to the National Football League, the alpha, the omega, the all-seers are the owners, right? At the end of the day, we can whine and complain all we want. But when it comes down to it, it is the owners that get what they want. And if you don't like it, they don't really care. Long as they making money, they happy. It's real simple, ladies and gentlemen. Well, that also means that the inverse is true. The only way to get your butt in trouble in the National Football League is if the owners themselves have decided that you have tarnished the shield, that you have gotten some mud on the shield. And when they believe that you've got mud on the shield, they will bring the hammer down. Well, Mike Florio of Pro Football Talk is reporting that the owners have a new target to which they are all training their proverbial crosshairs. And that target is an owner. According to Mike Florio, the rest of the NFL owners are seeing the support of Daniel Snyder, the team owner of the Washington Commanders. It's still funny, isn't it? It's still funny.
I don't know when it's not going to be funny.
It's still funny. The support by other owners for the owner of the Washington Commanders is beginning to erode, according to Florio. He said on NBC this weekend, "I'm told for the first time ever, there is a sense amongst ownership that the time may have come for Daniel Snyder to move on." Of course, sexual harassment allegations and a, quote, toxic, end quote, workplace resulted in a 10-month investigation by attorney Beth Wilkinson, bridging from 2020 into 2021. That investigation was started by the Commanders, but taken over by the NFL. The league imposed sanctions back on July 1st of last year, but while its punishment to the organization was public, the report itself has remained private. There's obviously been a big push to get the investigation results released. Numbers of members of Congress have called for it. And so far, the NFL as a whole has come up with a bunch of excuses and or bold-faced lies about why they cannot will not release the reports, release the results of the investigation. Well, we found out a couple of weeks ago that there is the potential for another investigation to go out, including when one ex-employee back on February 4th made a new allegation directly against Daniel Snyder, saying he put his hand on her thigh during a work dinner and then tried to direct her into his limousine later that same night. The Commanders came out, again, read Daniel Snyder, and said, "We will conduct an investigation into these allegations." And since then, the NFL has said, "No, you won't. No, you won't. We got that." Well, the fact that they are investigation number 2, the fact that Roger Goodell, and I told you this when this quote dropped, The fact that Roger Goodell said, quote, "I do not see any way that a team can do its own investigation of itself. That's something we would do. We would do it with an outside expert that would be able to help us come to the conclusion of what the facts were," end quote. When Roger Goodell has come out and said, no, team owner is not going to investigate team owner. We are going to investigate team owner. That is a sign. And now Mike Florio is saying that he can confirm that ownership is at a point now that they are over what is happening with Daniel Snyder. They are over the fact that they cannot keep the Commanders' name off the front pages of the newspapers. And that may very well mean that a change in ownership for the Washington Commanders is on the way. The only regret that I suspect a lot of Commanders fans are going to have, Lonzo, is that this change in leadership didn't come before they came to be fans of the Commanders.
It's hard to follow after you say Commanders every time. It's very, very difficult. We might get used to it eventually. I am shocked that it's taken this long. Wow. They shouldn't investigate themselves. How many times have we heard of self-reporting as if that's going to work?
Yeah.
Oh yeah,
we've investigated ourselves
internally.
And
we're looking.
Nothing has been done wrong.
Yeah. It's why now though? Why didn't they do this before now? What has changed to make them do this now?
Well,
is it the off season? The Super Bowl's over. Now they got to have something to do.
I think it's just been the open spigot of claims, the open spigot of investigations, the fact that, look, it's one thing, though, when NFL fans are mad at the NFL, right? It's one thing when we as fans are mad because they know that at the end of the day, like it or not, Lonzo, you and I don't have any power, right? You and I can sit here all day and rant for 3 hours and make the most watertight case of all time about a bad and injustice in the National Football League. We can do it all day, every day for 3 hours. But at the end of the day, if John from Greer listening to the show says, screw it, I'm still buying the NFL ticket. If Bill in Greenville says, I still bought my season tickets to the Falcons games. If Mary from Fountain Inn says, I just bought $100 worth of new Panthers jerseys, right? Then it doesn't matter. It does matter when Congress gets involved. It does matter when the federal legislature gets involved and says, we got a problem. You are violating laws and we are going to stop it. That's when their dollars are threatened. And the fact that the Washington Commanders have not been able to keep their name off the front page of the New York Times for the better part of 2 years now. At some point, if you're the owners, you got to look and go, he's going to bring the wrath of Congress down on us. He's going to bring the wrath of the legislature down on us. And if he does that, now our bottom line can be hammered. Now our bottom line can be hammered. And that, I think, is the problem. We're going to come back and address this later on in the show. Item number 2 on the lunch breakdown. For the first time in mass, as we prepare for Speed Week down in Daytona, as the Daytona 500 is set to run this Sunday, we are starting to get a better look at the new next-gen car, and we are starting to get comments from some drivers and crew chiefs about this car. We talked about the old car and the fact that the old next-gen car there was a certain inequality between top-tier teams like Hendrick and Roush Fenway and bottom-tier teams and lower-tier teams like Spire Racing. There has been a gulf of difference because with those cars, everything could be tweaked, twisted, trimmed, and turned to change the setup of the car. And the more money you had, the more you could put into the car to change it up. But with the new car, it's effectively a kit car. Teams all get the same pieces from different vendors, but they get the same pieces. They have detailed instructions on how the car gets pieced together. And the amount of stuff that can be tinkered and changed on the car is very low. is very low. Martin Truex said, we have never had anything change as much as we have with this car this year. It's going to take us quite a while to figure out where we are at, to learn about this car, to understand how to make it work on different types of racetracks. And I think that's going to go on for a while. It's going to take a while to really feel comfortable where you are or understand things to the extent we have in the past. Of course, for those of you that watched the Clash at the Coliseum last weekend or 2 weekends ago, you saw what we're talking about. The cars look different to some degree until you get into the real nuts and bolts, if you'll pardon the pun, and then they really do. For instance, the cars have bigger aluminum wheels. Remember the old cars? You had the 5 lug nuts, so when teams went to the pit stop, zzz, 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 zzz. Now, just one big lug nut in the middle. Now it's just zzz, zzz, and you got to. I don't know why I felt the need to act that out, but I felt like it was important.
It's amazing sound effect that you're doing there, and it's, I think, very accurate. The question is, the guy who used to do all 5, does he get another job,
nope,
or does he lose his job?
Just one big lug nut.
How big is that lug nut?
About that big around.
So the size of a baseball?
About the size, yeah, I'd say about the size of a baseball. Size of like a small donut. Not like a snack donut, but not like a big donut, like a small, like a mega, like a regular. Look at me, look at me. It is what it is.
All right, the size of an orange. There we go.
Sure, we'll go with that.
That's healthy.
The interesting thing, though, is that underneath the body of the car, the engine itself, we've talked about stock car racing. A lot of the pieces under there are car pieces that you could go to, go down to AutoZone and pick up for your car as well, right? Obviously, there's a lot of things that make them run at 200 miles an hour at Daytona. Kyle Busch said, quote, there's a lot more restraints to what we're allowed to do. There's a lot more rules. We're confined to a smaller box, but there's still a lot of knobs on this thing we haven't quite turned yet. Hopefully, we can still find the tricks in which this car likes to make you go fast, but there's more to learn for sure. And quote, even the manufacturers, Chevy, Ford, and Toyota, have entire R&D departments that are working on these cars to be able to tell their teams and their drivers, hey, here's what works and here's not. The cars in general are allowing the drivers to be more aggressive, right? And I think that's a chunk of what NASCAR wanted. They wanted 2 things. They wanted to have a little bit more in terms of fair competition between the top tier teams like Roush Fenway, like Hendrick, etc., Joe Gibbs, and the smaller teams, the Spires and the Woods brothers. They wanted to have a little more competition where those smaller teams can start picking up some races here and there. The second thing they wanted to have is they wanted to set up a car that was going to allow drivers to be more aggressive, right? They don't want any more races where first place and then 2.5 seconds later, second, 2.5, third, and 2.5 fourth, because drivers settle into a routine and the rhythm and they're happy with where they are. If everybody is more competitive, theoretically, the point standings will be closer when we get to the end of the year. And if that is the case, drivers are going to have to make more aggressive moves in order to put themselves into the playoffs. It'll be interesting to see if this plays out at the Daytona 500 coming up this Sunday. And we'll obviously break that race down later on in the week. And obviously have a full breakdown on Friday and a review on Monday. Item number 3 on the lunch breakdown. Lonzo, about 3 times a year, wrestling goes on the lunch breakdown. About 3 times a year. And usually it's around Mania weekend. And then sometimes there's a weird story. But for those of you that follow professional wrestling, you real men out there amongst us, this is, I think this is a fair story to put into the top 3. Tony Khan, owner of AEW, earlier this morning put out a notice that said Brandy and Cody Rhodes, who of course were arguably the tinder that started the fire that is AEW, are leaving the company. They are no longer members of AEW. Cody did not sign a new contract with All Elite. And then the dirt sheet started putting out reports that Cody was talking to the WWE about a potential reunion with the company that he left way back in 2016 to start AEW alongside some of his friends. I don't entirely know what to make of this, Lonzo. If he signs with WWE, is it a bad look for AEW? I don't know that I think that it is yet.
He's put out a statement on several different, it's been shared a bunch of places. So this is real. I mean, at least from what I can
first
tell.
question I asked you this morning is work or shoot. Is this
Yeah.
fake or false? Is this to drum up attention?
This appears to be real. And also a lot of stories from reputable sources have said that he's had contact with WWE. And one of the things that I saw, and something I mentioned to you earlier, is someone talked about the Monday Night Wars and how WWE tipped the scales, and that Stone Cold Steve Austin was a part of that. And now we're finding out that maybe Cody Rhodes comes back to the WWE and Stone Cold Steve Austin comes back in the ring all at the same time. And can that tip the scales? We're going to find out.
Yeah, we are.
We're seeing a major company that did a push to go for competition against, whether you like wrestling or not. This is a major company that jumped into competition, and now they're starting to lose some of their stars. So what will happen in the future because of that? Because the stars from one company have went to that company, and now some of those stars are leaving.
Yeah, it's going to be interesting, and we're going to talk about it later on in the show a little bit more depth. Like I said, initially I thought this got to be a work, right? Like AEW is trying to drum up a little attention. Why not? It kind of fell in line with all of the will Cody or Mox show up in the Rumble, which no, but it got people talking about it. But more and more this morning, it looks like he has indeed left the company. So we'll talk about that, maybe a little impromptu mock fight club later on in the show. We'll see. But in the meantime, got a lot of football to talk. Text line is already wide awake. The Preferred Home Services text line at 71307. You guys are already blowing it up. I'll respond to some of them when we come back on the Rob Brown Show and ESPN Upstate. Tell you about my friends at Harley-Davidson of Greenville. So you guys know, you've heard me say over and over, I've been riding a long time now, and I was glad to bring my motorcycle up here. But one of the things that I was very concerned about when I got here was, I've had my motorcycle for 7 years. I know how to change the oil on it, right? But outside of that, not a whole heck of a lot. At some point, the brake cables are going to have to be replaced. At some point, the brakes themselves are going to have to be replaced. And I was, I don't know how to do that. I have the soft hands of a scholar. I don't know how to do it. And I thought, I don't know who I trust to work on my motorcycle. And then when I got here, I met the folks over at Harley-Davidson of Greenville, and that decision got made for me very, very quickly, because Harley-Davidson of Greenville has folks that are there that are certified to work on your Harley-Davidson. They know all of the ins and outs of your bike. They know the latest tech. They know how it works. They know how to upgrade it, how to tinker with it to make your Harley-Davidson the Harley-Davidson of your dreams, so that you can live the HD life that you want to live. Ladies and gentlemen, if you are going to let someone work on your Harley-Davidson, don't you want to know that the folks working on your Harley are people that have been trained to work on your Harley? Of course you do. Go to upstateharley.com. upstateharley.com. You can see their entire inventory. Remember, you're getting great trade-in deals right now if you trade up to a new in-stock 2021, because they have got to start making room for the 2022s now. And they have the largest pre-owned inventory in the entire upstate available to you right now. Go to upstateharley.com or visit their beautiful showroom at 30 Chrome Drive in Greenville. 30 Chrome Drive, it's our friends at Harley-Davidson of Greenville. Hey, Liberob, how fun is electric car NASCAR going to be? 1 hour break in the middle, red flag due to the cars needing a charge.
Assistant offensive line coach. He most recently was working with the Texans this past season. Download the Score app today. Lightning fast sports alerts so you never miss a thing. Is why the Score app is one of North America's most popular sports apps. With your ESPN Upstate Sports Center update, I'm Matt Hawley. ESPN Upstate is
Yes, Stephen, I saw that, as well as, there's also a voice on there, which we touched on yesterday a little bit. And that would be Professor Charles Xavier, or at least Patrick Stewart's voice. And there's also people are pointing out it looks like Tom Cruise is Iron Man. We'll see. But yeah, the zombies, that's awesome. As well as, the evil Stephen Strange.
Person who claims to like comfort, stop what you're doing and try a pair of ArchFit exclusively from Skechers. Then you'll finally understand true comfort. See all the styles of comfortable, machine-washable ArchFit shoes now at Skechers.com. Radio.com is now Odyssey. Download the Odyssey app and listen to ESPN Upstate and all the sports, news, music, and podcasts.
Cyberpunk just dropped a free DLC and an upgrade, and they also a 5-hour trial. So if you wanted to try seeing if you liked it or not, you can play like 5 hours of it.
I bought it when it dropped.
Oh yeah, that's right.
I played it and it was so.
That's right. It was
funky.
messed up because of yeah.
So I might go back to it.
I don't know if it'll affect that or
the
not.
The problem I had with it is it's such a big damn game that I've got to take like half my catalog off to play it.
Pretty big.
All right, ladies and gentlemen, the Rob Brown Show back on your radio. It's ESPN Upstate. Text line on the Preferred Home Services text line, 71307. Start your text with ESPN. We'll read them on the air. Texter says, hey, Liberob, how fun is electric NASCAR going to be? 1 hour in-race red flag due to all cars needing a charge.
I thought about a solution to that. You know how the bumper cars has that electric. So they'll just have some sort of grid around the top. So it'll just be.
Man, we slap some solar panels on the top of it.
There you go. Or just that bar thing
Yeah.
that will just,
Yeah. Throw a couple of cables up top. Just let them go.
It'll look like the DeLorean from Back to the Future. All the cars will look that way.
Saving the world and drinking Busch Light while we do it, boys. How bad could life be? Texter says, we're talking about the Dan Snyder thing. Texter says, yeah, I was about to say I could literally care less, going to watch the NFL regardless. And another texter says, Roger Goodell could murder my wife and I'd still watch the NFL. I feel like that's a little dramatic, but that's exactly the point, right? At the end, I've told you guys.
Wait. Just a little. That's more than little. Yeah.
And the Emmy goes too.
Yeah.
I've told you guys for years that when it comes down to it, I think all of us like to say, well, we've got power over the product, right? You do. You vote with your wallet. Welcome to capitalism, right? You vote with your wallet. If you don't like a thing, don't give those people money anymore. If enough people, pardon me, if enough people decide that the practices of a business are not up to snuff, and enough people stop giving that business money, that business has two options, which is stick to their guns and go out of business or change their business practice. That's the premise. At its core, that's the country we live in, right? There is only one way around it. And the only way around it, of course, is if the legislature gets involved. If Congress decides to start if Congress decides to start passing laws that restrict the business practices of the organization in question. Here's the deal. We have all, and when I say all, I mean all. We have all had complaints about the National Football League over the years. For some of y'all, it was players kneeling during the anthem. For some of y'all, it's the games take too long. For some of y'all, it's the overtime is flawed and bad. For some of us, it's missed pass interference calls that cost our teams a Super Bowl. For some of us, it's, people committing horrendous crimes being allowed to get right back onto the field because they're good at football. We've all had complaints about the National Football League, but the reality of the situation is we all keep watching it, don't we? Right? We all keep watching it. Ray Lewis allegedly killed a dude. And we all went, how do you let that guy back in the league? How do you let that guy play? And then the Ravens made the Super Bowl, and what happened? We were all at Super Bowl parties. Ray Rice was seen beating a woman in an elevator. Back on the field. We all watched. At the end of the day, the only power we as fans have is, do we stop putting our eyeballs on the TV so that television contracts aren't worth as much? Do we stop buying gear? Do we stop buying tickets? Do we stop buying jerseys? And the answer to that has been, so far, a very clear no. No, we don't. So that means the only threat that the NFL owners truly feel is when the Congress of the United States says, no, what is happening here is completely off limits and unacceptable, and we're going to step in. Now, so far, for the most part, that hasn't happened. The Committee for Oversight, I think, 2 weeks ago, held a hearing where they had former Washington football team employees come in and air their grievances about the team. Yeah. That's really been the only thing that has been a threat to the NFL. So why is it that all of the sudden we end up in a spot where the owners would be turning on Daniel Snyder? And the answer is because Congress is involved, right? And when you get to a point that Congress is involved, when you get to a point where legislators in the federal government are saying, we're going to hold hearings, we're going to hold discussions with employees, we're going to conduct potentially our own investigations, etc. When that happens, when we get to that point, yeah, the rest of the owners are going to say, you are now threatening the shield. You are now threatening the profits. You are now threatening the bottom line. Because if the NFL steps in and says, no, the way that you've run the league, Texter says, if the NFL, I just say, on what grounds do you have? And the answer is none. I disagree, right? If you get to a point where people are getting sexually harassed in an NFL office, to the point that the NFL begins to hold its own investigations and starts sanctioning their own teams, and nothing gets done about it, I would say at some point they're going to go, no, wait a minute. I mean, is that probable cause? I'm not an attorney, nor did I stay in a Holiday Inn Express last night, but I would suspect that if you believe that there is widespread sexual harassment and potentially assault going on in a place, and you've got multiple witnesses ready to step in this case, the NFL and the Washington Commanders are the same entity, right? They are the NFL. So by proxy, the NFL has an office in the business where there are now dozens of people who have come forward and said there was sexual harassment, there was sexual assault, there was impropriety, et cetera, that would absolutely be violation of the law. In what other world would you go, yeah, we'll let them handle themselves? We'll let them handle themselves, right? If there was a crack house down the street from you where people were getting hurt And they went to the crack house and said, man, we know some stuff's going on in here. And the folks running the crack house said, don't worry, we'll investigate it ourselves and we'll fine ourselves. No, that's not how it works, yeah? That's not how it works. That's a problem. So the reason that the owners, I think, at this point, are going to start stepping away from Dan Snyder, or at least Mike Florio is reporting that they are, I would suspect the reason that they are ready to step away from Dan Snyder and try to create a situation where he has to go elsewhere would be because they have hit a point where the Commanders can't stay out of the news, A, and B, Congress is now looking at this. And the more of these situations they have, the more young ladies they have that go in front of the House Committee for Reform or whatever committee it was they went in front of and say, the owner directly sexually harassed me. And the more cheerleaders they have come up and say, yeah, they took pictures of us naked and distributed them to team and sponsors without our consent. The more they're putting on the table for Congress to eventually go, no, we're done. No, we're done. We're over it. We're stepping in. We got a problem with this. And the more it's going to happen, right? That is why the owners are ready to step away from Dan Snyder. They have been in his back corner this entire time, right? They've been in his back corner the entire time supporting the guy through it all, thick and thin. But when you get to a point that there is this level of coverage, when you get to a point that there is this level of discussion, when you get to a point that there are this many witnesses coming forward with story after story after story, some of which have been corroborated multiple times, of course the owners are going to start to step away. The only problem I have is, what took you so long? Why did it take you so long to decide that Dan Snyder was bad when NFL fans for years have been trying to point out that Dan Snyder is a blight on the league and bad for the team? That's the biggest problem. Let's take a break. We'll come back here in just a minute. Got plenty more to talk about in the world of the NFL as the Super Bowl is now over. Got some more thoughts about the Super Bowl and what I see out of the league next year. All that more coming up on the Rob Brown Show. Rob Alonzo and you, this is ESPN Upstate. Those boys from Great Britain got thrown.
Did you see dude's arms?
Yeah. That's the dude from yesterday. That's the Lashley lookalike.
It is Lashley.
Yeah.
I didn't realize it was American.
Same dude, yeah.
Since Friday's blockbuster trade that sent him to Brooklyn and James Harden to Philadelphia, said he feels good physically and mentally and he's getting there. Doesn't have a timetable for his Nets debut. Simmons explained his trade request with the Sixers was due to a culmination of things, nothing against the coaches or players. He also said he believes he'll complement Kyrie Irving and Kevin Durant well, thinking that the Nets will be scary. Asked if he'll be ready to play for the first time against the Sixers on March 10th, Simmons said he hopes so. Harden, introduced today by the 76ers, wouldn't get into details over what happened with the Nets. He did say Philadelphia was his first choice when he asked for a trade from Houston last season. He added the 76ers just makes sense for him.
From the Ingles Market Studio, this is ESPN Upstate. 97.7 FM, 97.1
So I sent you on Twitter.
Yes.
An Odyssey station. It's not easy being the one everyone counts on to keep the facility running, no matter the weather or supply chain hiccup. But we get you, Raymond in Buffalo, and Maria in Miami, Jules in Minneapolis, and Stan in Central Indiana, taking control of everything that's under your control. At Granger, we're here for you with experienced branch staff at over 250 locations, so you get the product you're looking for. Call clickgranger.com or just stop by. Granger, for the ones who get it done.
Did you ever play BioShock?
No.
Okay. Because Netflix has announced they're doing a movie.
I mean, I know of it. I'll watch the movie.
I played a little bit of it.
You ever feel like you're like you waited too long to start a game and because you're so far removed from it, you can't play it? There's a lot of games that I'm like, I'm interested in that game, but it's been out 12 years. And I think it's probably too late for me to play it. Like, I got into God of War the last 2, but God of War's been a franchise for 20 years now.
I downloaded one of them, and I still haven't played it yet. And it was the one with the kid. I just haven't played it yet.
Valhalla? The Viking one? The
No.
Norse
You're
guys?
talking about God of War.
Yeah.
Is it all?
Yeah, it's God of War. I think it's called not Assassin's Creed, it's Valhalla. It's what's the name of it? He switches from fighting the
It's a different pantheon that he's fighting. Yeah, I mean, I understand the story. I just because you were watching like all the cutscenes.
Ragnarok.
Yeah, I have it. I just haven't played it. And some games like that, I'll download them. I'll have them there for a while, and then I'll go, you know what, this is taking up space. I'm never going to play this, and then I just delete it without even trying it.
Do you think that this American anchor guy is intimidated by the other American anchor guy? Like, because this dude's no slouch. Like, he's a big boy. But that other guy is absolutely stacked.
And we still haven't seen who that guy is, the other guy. I haven't seen him with his helmet off. It could really be someone famous. QC Kinetics in the next break.
Say I have a problem going on with the text lines, though. I don't know what our sister station is talking about, but there's a handful of texters on our sister station who subscribe to the theory that there is a genuine NWO, right? Like a genuine New World Order of dark leadership, etc.
All right, it's bothering me, your tone and how you're scoffing. I think the history of the world, there's always been some sort of thing like that.
And
maybe not to the degree that some people think, but there's the people with the power, the people with the money, and you can't say that they don't communicate and don't get together at dinners on occasion. I mean, that's just, we've seen pictures of galas and videos and stuff like that.
With each other.
Yeah, they do. And
Of course they do.
and whilst hanging out, I'm sure they discuss, how they're controlling the world. It's very possible.
Let's go with it. That's fine.
They may not say,
is it the Bilderbergs and all that?
They may not say, well,
the Illuminati.
Today, here's what we're doing to the world. They may say today in the company, we're gonna change how people look at the dollar or the yen or whatever.
Cool. Like, all right, fine. You're justified in thinking that. I'm good with all of it. Whatever. Doesn't bother me. Can y'all call it
I just want to say that I don't care if you think less of me because I think of that I do believe in it to a certain degree. I don't believe in it to the degree that some people do.
No, that's very clear.
But,
I have the text line open.
Skull and crossbones and all that kind of stuff. But, I would like to be rich enough to find out if it's true.
Sure.
And let's face it, out of the two of us, one of us would join one of those organizations if we were really rich.
You just said it was you.
Oh, no.
You just said.
No. Hear me say something I didn't say.
I wish I had enough money to find out.
Right. To find out if it's real.
Gotcha.
Didn't say I would join.
The point of all of this was really meant to be very lighthearted, not to get into a discussion about the Illuminati and whether or not they're real. The point that I was going to go with here is you can believe all that, and that's fine. I'm not even saying you're wrong. I don't know. So I'm not going to say it is because I don't know. But can y'all stop calling it NWO? Because every time I read a text where it says NWO, I just get the image of Scott Hall and Razor Ramon. Like the outsiders on a call with Vladimir Putin dictating the way the world's going to run. Hulk Hogan kicking open the door to the Oval Office and threatening Joe Biden with a leg drop if he doesn't increase inflation,
Well, all those things seem very realistic, except for Hogan kicking the door. He's had a couple of hip replacements. He's probably not doing that anymore.
He'd be mad that the door went over.
They just lean on the door and it would probably explode.
I just need y'all to call it something else, please. All right.
But the New World Order of Wrestling came from the New World Order.
Yeah, I know, but then they took it. It's theirs now.
No, they took it a long time ago. It's been taken back.
When you say NWO, I hear Jimi Hendrix. All right. Just, it is what it is. Y'all, if you want to have the uber rich are secretly governing us, that's fine. And look, I believe it to some extent,
I'm curious, during COVID, the outbreaks of COVID, did they still use their secret handshake, or is there like a secret nod or something?
No, COVID's not real. They were just using it to keep the man down,
That's true.
Yeah, not real.
So the handshake never went away.
That was just the ultra rich having an excuse to keep us in our houses while they deforest the Amazon or whatever.
No, well, they found a way to, put DNA, alien DNA.
That's what it was.
Alien
lizard
DNA.
People.
Yes.
It's the lizard people is what it is. I really just wanted to make a wrestling joke, and then it spiraled out of control.
I apologize for going a place that you didn't know I would go.
Lonzo was like, hang on. Watch this.
We
hold my flavored water.
It's been over a year now. You think you would know something like that would trigger me into going somewhere else.
Yeah, that's on me. That's my bad.
Plus, you're coming at my station, so I
didn't come at anybody.
I got to kind of divert or do whatever I have to do.
Coming at anybody. I just said stop saying NWO and making me get mental images of X-Pac on the phone with Angela Merkel. I don't need it. I got enough going on.
That would be a rough conversation.
Hamster wheel of a
It
brain.
takes him a while to say anything now because of all the drugs.
Texter says, I'm with Lonzo. The uber rich definitely have massive influential power over governments. Now, I'm not disagreeing with you. I'm not disagreeing. That wasn't the point. The point was it was just a wrestling joke. For God's sake.
See, this is what happens when you try to mix politics into it's going to go somewhere.
I've made a huge mistake. Made a huge mistake. All right, I had a segment here. Let's take a break. When we come back, the Panthers have rounded out their coaching staff. I'll talk about that and definitely make sure that I don't reference any underground secret societies that may or may not be dictating international policy. That's next.
Or dictating. I don't know what you said, but yeah, it's kind of weird.
With the permission of the uber elite, the Rob Brown Show will be back after this on ESPN Upstate.
You see.
Tell you about my friends at QC Kinetics. Joint pain is real. And if you know, because you have it, you know that it influences how your life works, right? And I'm not just talking about the joint pain when you're engaged in physical activity. I'm talking about the fear of that joint pain when you're going through your day-to-day life. You know that if you go out there and play pickup soccer with the grandkids in the backyard, and after it's done, you want to pick them up to sit them at the kitchen table for some lemonade, you know your lower back's going to be killing you the next day, right? You know that your hips and your knees are going to be killing you the next day. Well, then you need to check in with my friends at QC Kinetics by going to their website at qckinetics.com, qckinetics.com. And what you're going to find out there is all about their regenerative non-surgical therapy. That's right. They can help you heal, restore, regenerate the connective tissue that's in all of your joints so that inflammation and that swelling goes down, as does the joint pain that you have to deal with, as does the fear of the joint pain and the influence it has over you and your life. Give them a call right now at 864-448-3772, 864-448-3772. Mention the Rob Brown Show. You're going to get that first consultation for free. And when you do, they're going to walk you through the process. You go in, you get the therapy, you're right back out to your day-to-day life. That joint pain and the fear of it goes away. Call them right now, 864-448-3772. Mention the Rob Brown Show. Get that first consultation for free with our friends at QC Kinetics.
I don't know, Trey. Them bringing Namor in too when they've got the X-Men to introduce and Fantastic Four. I guess they could just throw them all in there, but it isn't like they have to develop it too far. Just a brief glimpse, and then they can also say it was in a different universe. So, is this the same guys that wrecked earlier, or are they out? It's
No,
another
second team.
Okay.
Oh, no, it's not. No, it's not. It's not. B. Hall was the pilot in the last one, too, I believe.
Easy on that one corner, dude. B.
So knowing that you've burned a run on a wipeout, but also knowing where you wiped out, you attacking it harder next time to make up the time, or are you pulling up a little bit to get through that turn and trying to make it up elsewhere?
I think that thing goes so fast that you don't have time to be
miles an hour.
Overly thinking.
Well, it's got brakes. You can slow it up.
I know. He just banged
And
again.
In some cases, you should.
Yeah.
I think that was the same spot that they wiped.
Waving the flags behind their mask, going, "You guys suck. We're still in first place." Haha. USA time again. This dude with the biceps. Now we see what he looks like. Look, his helmet's open.
Dude, you think they had to sew 2 spandex suits together for him?
Nah, that stuff's stretchy. They gave him a smaller size. Look at him trying not to flex. Not gonna flex.
Vince McMahon's already on the phone with that guy's agent.
Or Tony Khan. Here they have an opening.
I want his finisher to be that he grabs you by the shoulder and the tights and he pushes you into the ring post.
Oh, that would be nice. Look at that. I mean, because of camera angles and the size of everybody else, he may not even be that big.
That guy's absolutely yanked. That guy is ripped. Hey, let's go. Good start, boys.
I don't know. It looks like he's only 15 if you look inside the helmet, but yeah.
Good run. Staying up high in the turns. I like it. 400ths of a lead. Nice. Good. Staying off the walls. I like it. Oh, a little bounce there. Lost 200ths on it. Long straightaway. Good. Here's where you make up the time. Into the loop. Smooth. I like it. Oh, little wobble there. Not ideal. Lost the time. Yep, that little wobble in the spin did it. That's not going to help.
I'm blaming it on the anchor, dude, but I wouldn't tell him that myself.
Oh, that sucks. You had him and lost the time. Bummer.
Start earning cash and saving lives.
All right, ladies and gentlemen, the Rob Brown Show rolls on. This is ESPN Upstate. I'm going to get into this a little bit later on because I consider myself a sports guy, right? Like I don't traditionally, actually, I don't think I have yet used my podium to speak out about things going on in the community, but this is a sports topic and it's an overlap here. Last night, the Greenville County Council held a vote about we had Joe and Doug Irwin on not too long ago to talk to you guys a little bit about the potential for a new stadium to be built out in Malden. And the new stadium was going to serve as the home stadium for both the Triumph and the Greenville W League team, which would allow them to stop playing games at Legacy Early College, have a dedicated soccer stadium, but could have been used for other events around the community. Well, last night, the Greenville County Council held a vote about whether to engage in negotiations, right? Not to build the stadium, but to engage in negotiations about building the stadium. And 3 of the 5 voted against entering into negotiations. There was no money at stake in this vote, right? It was not a commitment to do anything other than to have the conversation. It was a vote to negotiate on where money would come from, how it would be allocated, where it would be built, how it would be built. It was basically to have the conversation about what this stadium was going to look like. And the Greenville County Council voted it down. 3 votes to 5. So 3 votes to 2 said no to even entering into negotiations. And look, I'm not going to get into it. I'm not even going to name the names. I'm just going to say I'm really disappointed by that. I'm genuinely disappointed. The vote was to have the conversation, right? The vote was to sit down and talk about here's what it would require, here's what it would go, here's what the money would come from, here's what it would cost, etc. I see no reason why you wouldn't have the conversation, right? I see no reason why you wouldn't have the conversation, and it is wildly disappointing to me that what I think would have been an enormous enhancement to the community, both in the world of sports, but as an overall community as well. And we don't even want to talk about it. We don't even want to sit down with the parties on all sides and have the conversation. Wildly disappointed in that decision. Talk more about it later. The Rob Brown Show's on your radio. It's ESPN Upstate.
AutomotiveMap.com presents your ESPN Upstate Sports Center update, powered by The Score. The 2022 coaching staff is set for the Carolina Panthers. They have hired Joe Daly to be their receivers coach. He previously coached at the collegiate level, his most recent stop being at Boston College. He has also spent some time at Liberty. He was New Mexico's offensive coordinator and quarterbacks coach back in 2019. Kevin M. Gilbride, the son of former Chargers head coach Kevin Gilbride, he has been named as the tight ends coach. He was a defensive analyst for the Panthers in 2021. And Robert Kugler has been hired as an assistant offensive line coach. He most recently was working with the Texans this past season. Download the Score app today. Lightning fast sports alerts so you'd never miss a thing. It's why the Score app is one of North America's most—
Yeah, we talked about that earlier, Trey. They are gone, according to him and according to Tony Khan. Harley in the first break.
Outstanding. I think the one-man bobsled came first, and then we went to 2 and then to 4? Or did they start with the 4 and then go, well, we should do this with 2 guys? Oh, what if we just have one guy do it?
Well, I think the luge came first, and then they
What
just—
if we did this, but inside of a rocket?
Oh, that would be cool. I would never do it, but
No, I'm saying that's the theory from luge to bobsled.
yeah,
right?
yeah, maybe.
All right. Welcome back, ladies and gentlemen. The Rob Brown Show's on your radio. It's ESPN Upstate. Rob and Lonzo and you. 844-GSP-ESPN, 844-477-3776. Text us on the Preferred Home Services text line at 71307. Start your text with ESPN so we can read them on the air. Texture says, welcome to the South where great ideas for the common good come to die. Look, it's wildly disappointing if I know one thing about the folks that are trying to get this project put together, if I know one thing about the folks that are driving this project, and if I know one thing about the soccer community in this area, discouragement is just a thing that happens, right? I promise you, if you're a fan of soccer, discouragement comes with that, right? Because, folks who love soccer got no problem telling you that they love soccer. Folks that hate soccer really enjoy telling you how much they hate the thing that you like. Trust me, I've been doing this as a soccer fan a very long time. Every time I talk soccer, I get the text of, Rob, nobody cares about your trashy little Euro sport. Rob, if I wanted to watch people run around and kick a ball all day, I'd go to my daughter's elementary school, right? I get those texts all the time. Soccer fans are used to being discouraged because every time they talk about soccer, that's what happens. It's just the way that it works. I don't suspect that this effort is over. I don't suspect for a second that this effort is going to be suspended. I don't think for a second that the desire to bring a soccer club or a soccer stadium to the area is going to go away. I absolutely think that there are thousands of fans around the upstate who want this to happen. I think that the Triumph are very much dedicated to making this happen. And while last night's county council vote was absolutely a disappointment, considering, again, there was no money on the line here, right? This was a negotiation. This was a let's sit at the table. County representatives from the Triumph, representative from the cities of Malden. Let's see if we can sit down and talk about this thing and come up with a plan that benefits everybody. Now, I'll say openly, if the representatives of the people of the city of Malden were the ones who wanted this shot down, right? Like if they, and I don't know. I have not, unfortunately, been involved in those conversations. If the folks from the city of Malden said, no, we don't want it here, then it is what it is, right? It's their community at the end of the day. But in my covering this story, talking to folks involved with this story, being involved with this story to some degree, and my conversations with folks about this process, about this story, about this stadium, I heard a couple of folks from Malden say, yeah, we don't want it here. But I heard a lot of people say, we absolutely do. It would be a boon for this area, right? I mean, you got basically 35-ish days a year guaranteed where you got a couple thousand people at the least coming to your city to spend money and eat and hang out, and that little center it was going to be built in would have been enormously benefited by this. So again, I'm not disparaging anybody. I'm not disparaging anybody for the vote itself. I mean, I'm sure that they had their reasons. I may disagree with them, but I'm sure to them it was good reason. But I am disappointed by it. It is a bit of a bummer. And obviously, full disclosure, I'm a big fan of the team, right? You can find me in section 110 at most games. I love soccer. I love live football. The Triumph do a great job of putting together a game day atmosphere that I enjoy being a part of. Full disclosure, I wanted this to happen as a fan. But as somebody who wants the sports scene in this area to grow. as somebody that enjoys the sports scene in this area. Again, when I got the offer to move here, one of the first things I did when I came up here for the audition was start checking out the sports scene. You got Furman Athletics, you got Wofford, you got Clemson and South Carolina, obviously. We're smack dab in the middle of Charlotte and Atlanta. We got the Triumph, we got the Rabbits, we got the Drive. And there's some incredible high school athletics around here. I consider myself very fortunate to be in a spot that has such a great sports culture, but you have to grow it, right? Like if you want this area to be a bit of an epicenter around the South in terms of sports culture, in terms of people looking and going, man, Greenville, Spartanburg, Greer, Malden, these are great places if you're a sports fan, right? Which benefits everybody. Furman and Wofford benefit from that. All of the high schools benefit from that. And to some degree, Clemson and South Carolina benefited from it if this area continues to have its sports culture grow. If you want something to grow, you have to invest in it. And I think we had a remarkably unique opportunity to start putting that investment into one of the most rapidly growing sports in the United States, right? We read you that study a couple of weeks ago about the fact that soccer has jumped into what I think is fair to call the Big Five, right? Football will always be king. Basketball, baseball, right there with it. And it's pretty much soccer nipping at the heels and catching up rapidly. And I think this area with Clemson winning a national championship, by the way, Zoe, you want to hear something really cool? February 26th, which is a Saturday, the Greenville Triumph have a preseason game against the defending NCAA champions, the Clemson soccer team up there at Clemson. I mean, talk about a soccer community, right? Your USL League One runners-up, a game away from going back-to-back in the championship in America's third biggest soccer league, squaring off in a preseason friendly against your reigning defending NCAA men's soccer champions. There is a very fertile ground for growth of that sport here, and the other sports benefit from it too. What is the old saying? A rising tide lifts all boats. The other sports benefit from it too, and I thought we had a very unique opportunity here to build a first-class facility that would have housed not only the Triumph, but would have created a huge boost to women's sports in the area, right? Not only does Greenville get one of the inaugural USL W League teams, but could you imagine getting one of those teams and then having the women play in one of the nicest USL League One facilities in the country? Hell, it's going to rival some of the USL championship stadiums had it gone through, at least the way the first proposal went. It's disappointing. Again, I don't think it's over. And there may be more to it. Texter just said things like this happen all the time, and you very rarely see projects go through on the first proposal when it's not the county's idea, especially at this magnitude. If enough people speak up, the elected officials will listen and find a way to make it happen. Yeah. I spent 2 years working for county government down in Okaloosa County, Florida. And I saw stuff like this happen all the time. But again, this wasn't a proposal for the project, right? This wasn't blueprints on the table. This wasn't, here's the stadium we want to build and here's the receipt. This was, can we sit at the table and negotiate? Can we sit at the table and put proposed plans down and proposal to infrastructure improvements and proposal for different ways to pay for it?
In the history of this sort of thing, how many times do you think it goes through the very first time? I agree with the texter. If this is something you want to happen, you're going to keep pushing for it and find a way to make it happen. But I wonder if the other ones believed it would go through the very first time. I think you got to plan for the long haul for it to be a little bit of a fight.
You're probably not wrong. But I think what intrigues me, like I said, Zoe, this wasn't the plan, right? This wasn't the blueprints. This wasn't, here's what it's going to look like and here's where the money comes from. This was, hey, we got a lot of work to do. Let's sit at the table and talk about it, right? Like what, I don't understand. And again, I'm an idiot, right? I'm an idiot and I acknowledge it, but I don't understand what more we need to start the conversation. And again, I've got the video from the meeting. I planned on watching it this morning and I just ran out of time. I'll be watching it this evening. And maybe there was a discussion held in that room. I know some of you guys in the riot were there. If anybody was at this meeting or listened to this meeting that can call in with some extra details, I would love to hear it. What conversation was had? What was the justification for the 3 no votes against the 2 yes? Because again, this wasn't the plan. This wasn't the blueprints. This wasn't the receipt. This was simply, do we sit at the table and talk about it, right? The county council, the county administrator, the representatives from the city of Malden, and the representatives from the Greenville Triumph. Do we sit at the table and talk about this? I don't understand why you'd say no to that unless you just don't want the stadium, right? And I guess that's the way this thing looks to me is this decision to me sounds like we just don't want the stadium. And if we don't want the stadium, that's fine. Just say it, right? Just say, I'm not interested in this. And again, maybe it's the representatives of the city of Malden. Maybe it's the folks in Malden that said, we just don't want the stadium here. If that's the case, that's fine. It's their city. It's their city. But that's not the impression that I got. Wasn't the impression I got. In fact, the very first article that I read about this when it was proposed was and I could be incorrect. I'm very, very loosely paraphrasing. And if anybody knows them, and I'd love to get a comment, I may reach out for comment after the show. But in the very first article I read about it, I believe from Channel 4, the mayor of the city of Malden talked about it and said it would be a benefit. And again, if I'm misquoting him, I sincerely apologize. It is not my intent. I am recalling this off the top of my head. I will see if I can get comment later. But I didn't get a big outcry from people in Malden saying we don't want it here. There were concerns about infrastructure, which is fair. There were concerns about traffic, which is fair. But aren't all the solutions to that found at the negotiating table, right? Hey, we like the stadium. We'll chip in this much, but we want you to chip in this much to add another lane to the road in and out of the stadium. Or for upgrading traffic control. I don't know. The point is, the no votes here just feel like, we don't want the stadium to the point that we don't even want to talk about it. We don't even want to talk about it. And I guess that's what comes across as the bummer for me. Trust me, I'm going to do my research after this. Again, I planned on watching the replay of that meeting this morning. I just ran out of time, but I'll be watching it when the show's over today because I'm intrigued to see what the conversation is. All right, here's a bunch of texts that have come in so far. Texter says, yeah, we are used to being disappointed. Texter says, coming from someone that works in local governments, it sounds like the county voted it down because they want to share some of the funding with the city of Malden. I do not think it would have made it this far to get on the finance committee's agenda as a total surprise. They have most likely had discussions with county officials to gauge their interest at some time, and this should give hope that the project will still go through at some point. And again, I acknowledge that A, I am an idiot, and B, I've been here a couple of years now, but I haven't really gotten to fully digest, fully learn how the local politics of this community work, right? Like I lived in Fort Walton Beach, Florida for the better part of 33 years. I could tell you who the players were. I could tell you why most decisions were made, but I had been there 30 years. I am, much to the delight of some of y'all, a transplant here, and I'm still learning the ins and outs of county government. This may just be something that was fully expected, but not based on the language that I'm hearing from folks on different sides of the discussion here. Texas says, I love hearing more about soccer. As a guy that had to play soccer because my school didn't have a football team, I love rekindling my fandom of the sport. Those naysayers are a pack of wet lettuces. That is from Buckeye Mike. Another Buckeye in the pack for you, Zoe. Buckeye Mike says the naysayers are a pack of wet lettuces. I love it. Another texter says words are hard. Things like this happen all the time, and you very rarely see projects go through on the first proposal when it's not the county's idea, especially at this magnitude. Okay, yeah. So same text as earlier. Again, I am going to say, and I'm not going to sit here and make a political pitch to you all. I'm all in on this idea. I think it's a good idea. If there are folks in Malden who are against this idea, I am certainly happy to hear why. It will impact you more than me, right? I will be driving from Greenville to Malden to go watch Triumph games. But I can also tell you, you know what the best way to get me to separate from money is, Lonzo? Put it around a game. Put it around a sport. When I drive to Atlanta to go to an NBA game, when I drive to Charlotte to go to an NFL game, when I drive to Legacy Early College to go to a Triumph game, I know going in, I'm putting $100 down on the table today, like base. I'm buying jerseys, I'm buying gear, I'm buying food, I'm buying beer, I'm buying drinks. I'm putting money down on the table. Ain't no doubt about it. And I'm coming to Malden to do it. I think it's a good idea. If the folks in Malden don't want it, I get it. I understand. It's your city. I don't understand why you wouldn't sit at the table and have the talk. That's my question. Why would you not have the talk? 844-GSP-ESPN, 844-477-3776. If anybody has any additional input on this, if you watched the meeting, you heard about it, you know somebody who knows somebody, and you got some thoughts, I'm happy to hear them. 844-GSP-ESPN is the phone number. Text us on the Ingles Market text line, the Preferred Home Services text line at 71307. Start your text with ESPN on the Preferred Home Services text line. Let's take a break. When we come back, we'll switch the discussion up. I got plenty more to get into, some Olympics talk, and, you know, we talked about mayo on this show. We take our mayo very seriously, but I have been enlightened, Lonzo, to the most drama-filled mayo story of all time. I'll tell you what that is coming up on the Rob Brown Show on ESPN Upstate. Tell you about my friends at Harley-Davidson of Greenville. Listen, when you buy a motorcycle, especially if you buy it from a dealership, what's going to happen the overwhelming majority of the time is you're going to hear from them occasionally. And when you hear from them, it's going to be like, oh, happy birthday. Here's 5% off an oil change. And that's pretty much it. When you get yourself a motorcycle from Harley-Davidson of Greenville, you are getting way much more than that, okay? Not only are you going to be getting the best buying experience you could ask for, whether you're getting the best trade-in value to trade up towards a new 2021 in stock because they got to make room for the 2022s and you're benefiting from that, whether you're looking to go something pre-owned and just looking for the perfect bike to add to the collection, the buying experience is incredible. But once you are part of the HD of Greenville family, you are going to end up reaping the benefits for that for years. They are going to help you keep your bike in shape with Harley-Davidson certified mechanics working on your bike in shop. They're going to help you customize it to be the bike of your dreams. You got a question about where to ride, when to ride, how to ride? Harley-Davidson of Greenville will sit down with you and say, here's the map. Here's where you want to go. Here's what you want to see. Here's what you want to see when you get there. They make sure that you get the most out of your riding experience because they care about you, not just as the guy or the gal that bought a bike, but as a member of the H-Dog family. See what I mean? By checking their website out online at upstateharley.com, upstateharley.com. You can also go see their showroom at 30 Chrome Drive. It's a beautiful showroom. You're going to see what I mean. I mean, you're not going to find a lick of dust in the place because they care about their product. 30 Chrome Drive is the website. Or upstateharley.com is the website. 30 Chrome Drive is the dealership. Go check them out. It's Harley-Davidson of Greenville.
So there's nothing like flipping through Facebook and seeing your cousin posting something inside a plane where he's taking off and he's flying, and then suddenly the broadcast ends.
Ends like you weren't listening to it and it ended, or ends like
No. He's.
I'm headed to click.
Well, I couldn't hear it, but
Right, I'm saying.
he's flying and he gets up over a certain thing and then it just stops. So without hearing the audio, maybe he just cut it off. I don't know. But he was live, which means it was happening while we were.
Yeah.
And I'm just like,
Like he's a pilot, or he's like on a.
no, he's a pilot. He was flying.
Okay.
Yeah. A bunch of my family are pilots.
Download the Score app today. Lightning fast sports alerts so you never miss a thing. It's why the Score app is one of North America's most popular sports apps. With your ESPN Upstate Sports Center update, I'm Matt Pauley.
ESPN Upstate is your home for Furman Paladins men's basketball. Every play, every game on ESPN Upstate. 97.7 FM Greenville, 97.
%.
Yeah, just because I don't fly doesn't mean the majority of my family
Yeah.
doesn't. I've had uncles
Oh no, I missed one.
that wanted to buy an airport.
An airport.
Yeah, a small airport. And one of my uncles has made multiple airplanes from kits.
That's cool. I've
Yeah.
seen people do that. That's cool. He's gonna fly a back double full.
But also the uncle that I was named after died in a plane crash.
I was gonna
Yeah.
ask, I wanted to figure out how the softest way to ask that question
Yeah.
was.
Yeah, he it was not good.
Real, unfiltered sports talk on the Rob Brown Show, ESPN Upstate.
The Rob Brown Show back on your radio. It's ESPN Upstate. Rob and Alonzo and to you. Be a part of the show. 844-GSP-ESPN. Text us on the Ingles Market text line, the Preferred Home Services text line at 71307. We are live from the Ingles Market Studios here on the Rob Brown Show and ESPN Upstate, the palatial Ingles Market Studios. Talking a little bit of anything and everything. We may have some input on this stadium conversation coming in just a minute. I'll let you know about that. Let's see. Dr. Scott has texted in and said, Rob, why don't you get a group of supporters together to lobby for this, i.e. you organize? There already is a tremendous group of supporters, predominantly put together by the Reedy River Riot, which is the supporters group that have been going to these meetings, showing up for these meetings, lobbying and making their opinion heard. And I am by no means in a position to overstep. I am a part of that. Was unfortunately unable to attend the meeting last night, but I did attend the one previous to that when this proposal was pitched for the very first time. I was at that meeting. And next time this comes up for discussion, if it does again, I will be at that one as well. So anyway, that's where it stands right now. That's where it stands right now. I'm going to watch the replay of the county council meeting when we get off the air today. And when I do, I will be a little bit more prepared to have this discussion tomorrow in hopefully greater detail with you guys. 844-GSP-ESPN's the number, 844-477-3776. You can text us on the Ingles Market, the Preferred Home Services text line at 71307. Start your text with ESPN.
In your defense, you looked up and you saw a guy crash on
That guy wiped hard.
Yeah.
He was not feeling good.
Yeah, so I mean that
We're
threw you a
watching
little.
the men's skiing aerials, which is where they go very high in the air, do lots of spinny, twisty flippies. And when they hit, because they go so straight up vertical, they're coming down basically straight down, and they have to stick the landing.
Yeah, they're like falling a couple stories.
Yeah, it's a big drop. And again, it's nearly straight down, almost no forward momentum when they're hitting the ground. And it can't be good on the knees. Can't be good on the knees. All right. Speaking of the Olympics medal count as it stands right now, we gave it to you yesterday. We've picked up a couple of new medals as the U.S. scored a bronze medal in the team's speed skating pursuit overnight. But the Germans picked up one as well. So we remain one back of the Germans now. Norway leads the Winter Olympics. No shock there with 26 medals so far, 12 gold, 7 silver, 7 bronze. The Russian Olympic Committee has 24 gold, 7 silver, 9 bronze. The Americans' numbers are almost flipped the Germans' numbers almost flipped from that with 9 gold, 6 silver, 3 bronze. The Americans have 7 gold, 6 silver, and 4 bronze. But remember, we got a bunch of events stuffed into the final, 5 days or so of the Olympics remaining.
ROH would have more. The Russian Olympic ROC. Yeah, sorry. Wrestling jumps in there every once in a while. But they'd have more if it wasn't for the scandal going on with the figure skating.
Yeah. Now, that being said, if that young lady, and we have been keeping an eye on this story. I'm glad you brought that up because I was going to bring this up later in the show, but I might as well do it now. For those of you that have been paying attention, it's an interesting story. Camilla Valeeva is the 15-year-old Russian prodigy figure skater who tested positive for a banned substance at the Olympics. Now, the substance that she tested positive for, the chemical she tested positive for, is used in a specific medication that is used for a heart disease, right? If your heart, if I recall correctly, if your heart beats slowly, you take this medication. It's called trimetazidine. Trimetazidine. It's involved in a heart medication that's relatively commonly used for those with heart issues. The legal team for Camilla Valeeva has released the defense of the 15-year-old skater, saying that effectively they believe that she was cross-contaminated with this substance. Not that she has been using it, but that it was cross-contaminated. The defense said that her grandfather, that there is a cross-contamination. The metaphor they used was, for example, grandfather drank something from a glass, saliva got in it. This glass was somehow later used by an athlete, or the drug lay down on some surface, traces remained. The drug laid down on this surface, which the athlete then drank. So basically they're saying they believe she was cross-contaminated with this drug somewhere, that she would have ate or drank something that had this drug on it already, and that's how it got into her system. Obviously, there are folks already coming out and saying if that was the case, it would not have been ingested in a high enough quantity that it would have shown on multiple drug tests. Now, there's been a lot of outcry because the IOC has decided that she will be allowed to continue competing. They have also said that there is an investigation going on into her positive, and that because the investigation is ongoing, she would still be allowed to compete. But that if she was to medal in any event that she is competing in, if she was to medal in any event she's competing in, then at that point, they would not hold the medal ceremony for any athletes. They would not hold the medal ceremony for that sport. Instead, they would list down the final order. And if the investigation was to come up down the road that, she did test positive, they could prove that she had been using it, that they would then reward the medals to whoever's behind her. So if she wins gold, the silver medalist would win gold, the bronze would get silver, the fourth place non-medal winner would then move up into the bronze position. A lot of folks have a problem with this, and the reason they have a problem with it is for the same reason that the Russian athletes are competing as the Russian Olympic Committee and not under the flag of Mother Russia. And the reason is that the Russians had a state-sanctioned, state-sponsored, state-run doping program going on amongst their athletes. Effectively, the Russian government was getting these performance-enhancing drugs to their Olympic athletes. That was discovered by the IOC. Russia was banned from the Olympics. This happened all the way back in 2014, by the way, right? That's how big this ban was. So now you've got other athletes that are coming out and saying, wait. So you got a country that for a fact was running a state-sanctioned, state-sponsored doping program for their Olympic athletes. You now have an Olympic athlete who was tested positive for doping, right? Has tested positive for a performance-enhancing drug. This drug, by the way, the reason that figure skaters would be taking this drug is that it can increase your stamina, right? It increases the amount of oxygen that your blood can carry. It increases your stamina. So if you're skating in a long program where you're doing that high-intensity effort for 3.5, 4.5, 5.5 minutes as a figure skater, your body wouldn't wear out as fast. You'd have more stamina when you got to the end. When you got to the end of your program. And so there are other skaters that have been, Johnny Weir, who is famously calling the Olympic figure skating events, said the other day that this is egregious, right? It's unacceptable, partially because it sounds like the IOC is saying, she's 15, she's too young to know what she's doing, so we're just going to kind of push this off. And the investigation is instead being centered on the coaches, on the folks that run the Russian figure skating team, on the Russian Olympic Committee, overseers, et cetera, and that if they can't prove that these people gave the 15-year-old drug intentionally, then the young woman will just be allowed to compete and medal. And a lot of other figure skaters are going, you are literally sacrificing the integrity of this sport in order to either not hurt the feelings of a 15-year-old or not antagonize Russia further, which screw them, who cares?
So if she's being told to do it by the coaches, is it on her though? I mean, if she's only 15.
I mean, as somebody who always sympathizes with athletes, Rob in the house.
I mean, it's different if you're 18 or if you're an adult and you're being told to do it because you can make a decision, but you're 15 years old being told to do something by your coaches. Can you be held responsible? It's something like this.
Well, and you're right. You got a point, which is what the IOC is saying, right? The reason they didn't immediately drop the ban hammer down on this young woman is because she's 15. They're going, wait a minute. She's 15 years old, right? Is she genuinely in charge of her own decision-making process?
And by the way, she could be. She could.
Sure.
I mean, I'm giving her the benefit of the doubt, her being 15, but pretty smart 15-year-olds out there.
And I think that's what the IOC is saying, right? That's what they're saying. By not holding the medal ceremony, they're going, well, look, there's a chance this was her decision, that she knew what she was doing, etc. But at the same time, she's 15 years old, right? And it is equally, if not more likely, that some of the adults from the ROC overseers said, here, eat this muffin, right? This is your breakfast, and stuff the pill inside of it. That's just as likely, if not more likely so, than her making the decision on her own. The problem here, and this is where you got to start hurting people's feelings, right? The problem here is that by allowing that to stand as they have, you create a situation where, especially for figure skating, gymnastics, where most of the athletes are teenagers, right? Young teenagers, 15, 16 years old, where you can dope up these kids to send them to win gold. And then if they get caught, go, she's only 15. She's only 15. What are you going to do? Give her gold medal, right? Because we don't want to hurt the feelings of a 15-year-old. And when you do that, you just effectively tell Russia and China and hell, maybe the United States, who knows? But you effectively tell the Olympic organizers of these countries, here's a way you can get away with cheating, right? Just get younger athletes. Make sure all your gymnasts and all your figure skaters are 15 years old, 16 years old, and they're going to let you off the hook by working under the guise of she didn't know better. She could not have known better. There's no way for her to have known better, and go from there.
I'm sure they have other members on the team, and those people have been overly scrutinized now and double checked and double tested and all that kind of stuff too. Or you would believe that they would.
You'd like to think.
Because why would it only show up in one person if the team had something to do with it?
Yeah. So, it's interesting. And like I said, you have had some other athletes that have been absolutely roasting the IOC, roasting this decision, et cetera, et cetera. Adam Rippon, who helped the U.S. win a figure skating bronze at the 2018 games, said, dirty cheaters, and we are accommodating them. I don't know how the Olympics recovers from this. Rippon said that the Russians, quote, should not be here at the Olympic Games. They're clowns, end quote. And that was just one of many former great figure skaters who have stepped up and said something. Again, I know that by rule of thumb, the overwhelming majority of you guys don't give a damn about figure skating, right? You don't care. But if you love the Olympics overall, this is a massive part of it. And if we're at the point where countries like Russia and China are just going to blatantly get away with cheating, it kind of takes the shine off the rings, doesn't it? At least it does to me. Let's take a break. We'll come back. Work towards the end of hour number 2. The Rob Brown Show's on your radio. It's ESPN Upstate.
Simmons does not have a timetable for his next debut, but hopes he'll be ready to play by March 10th. He'll be the game against his former team, the 76ers. Simmons today spoke for the first time since the mega trade that sent him to Brooklyn and James Harden to Philadelphia. Said he's feeling good physically, mentally.
Tomorrow's a milestone day, Lonzo.
Trade request in
Tomorrow will be 3,000 days since the last time that Clemson lost to South Carolina in football, according to Austin Pendergast. Is that right?
I don't know. I don't keep track of that stuff.
He called the Sixers the opportunity of a lifetime. Packers quarterback Aaron Rodgers and Chiefs QB Patrick Mahomes, the co-betting favorites to win 2022 NFL MVP at plus 700, followed by Buffalo's Josh Allen and Cincinnati's Joe Burrow.
ESPN
2013.
Upstate. 97.7 FM Spartanburg. ESPN Upstate.
An Odyssey station.
Without the ones like me, who work tirelessly to keep things running, everything would sadly stop. Hospitals, factories, schools, and
Yeah, that's right. 2,999 days today.
no matter the weather, emergency, or time of day, you're the ones who get it done. The Green
That is many, many days.
I hope that's all that person does ever.
every industry.
Oh, there are Twitter accounts that set up, and all they do every day is tweet out the number of days since the last time it happened.
Yeah, Ohio State had one of those about last time Michigan had won. It's now up to like a couple days or something. Yeah, I could just walk over there.
I know. This is dedication to LARPing, I guess. Watch this. Boom!
Sure, isn't like a movie set.
Does it matter? Those
No,
are
no, no,
real
no.
people, and that's a real
Yeah, yeah, but
horse.
those are not. That's not LARPing swords.
Oh, God.
I mean, that's a movie.
That boy right there gets absolutely wrecked. Poof. The
No, if you look, there's a guy behind him, bracing him. Or at least I thought so.
okay, the guy out front, maybe, but there ain't nobody catching that guy. Wrecked. He is out, dude. And that horse DGAF, man.
Yeah, people are being trampled there.
Here, I'll put it up on the stream for those of you that want to know what we're looking at.
We have
here.
1 minute, so
That's
you've got
enough time.
Maybe we have time.
I want you guys to watch this video. Watch the dude in the front just get absolutely wrecked by that horse. I mean, I'm assuming you're right. It's probably a movie set, but even for a movie stunt.
Well,
that
and the
guy gets
second horse
killed.
comes in while there are guys on the ground too. If you look,
Boom. And that first guy gets smoked. The dudes in the back get wrecked too. Like a lot of them just go to the ground because like acting. But
Plus-
the dude right here in the front gets absolutely slammed.
you know, I'm not a historian, but I don't think that's where are the pikemen. I mean, where are the guys to handle the horses coming?
Well, the
in?
guys not coming in from the right have them, right? Like watch the
Do
watch
they?
on
I
the
don't
right
see
side
any
of the
pikes.
screen.
I just see swords. I'm talking
No,
about.
no. Those guys, the guys on the right have pikes. You can see them, but they're not holding them out, right? Like they're holding
Well, they
them.
should be braced against the ground, and then so the ground would help repel the horse.
But like, see, you can see the guys over on the right. You can see them. The Rob Brown Show rolls on. It is ESPN Upstate. Welcome back, Rob, Lonzo, you, 844-GSP. ESPN is the number. By the way, tomorrow a milestone day for the Gamecocks of South Carolina. Not in a good way.
I'd expect this on another show, but that's fine.
I just found
it,
it
it
out.
might be celebrated on another show.
Right. It struck me a little bit. Tomorrow, ladies and gentlemen, will be the 3,000th day since the last time that South Carolina has defeated Clemson in football. 3,000 days. And by the way, I bring that up because it's a remarkable number. To the point that I'm probably going to be sleeping on the couch tonight, right? Because the lady friend's a Gamecock, and if she hears me talking about this, she won't be thrilled about it.
Well, it's proof for now that it's not a rivalry. You cannot have a true rivalry unless the other team wins some.
I disagree with that sentiment.
And you're wrong. You can't have a Ohio State and Michigan was no longer a rivalry until now, until Michigan beat Ohio State. Now it's a rivalry again. Until South Carolina wins again, it's just a beatdown. That's all it ever is.
Folks, I've been on the radio with Lonzo for about a year and 2 months now, and that was the most aggressive reaction I've ever seen from him. He threw the fist down. Unlike me, he didn't hit the table.
No, I mean, there was
the fist came down.
I also backed off the mic.
He did
because professional.
I think rivalry is all about emotion, right? Like it's nice when teams trade dubs back and forth, but if you hate them, that's a rival. Joker never beats Batman. We don't go, they're not rivals. Yeah, they are.
How do you explain to your kid, this is our rival? We've never beat them since I've been alive, Daddy. How are they our rival?
You take extra.
It's more. It's not your rival. They're your daddy. Until you can do something to fix it.
Put it this way. If it had been 3,000 days since Georgia Tech beat Clemson, I'm not talking about it on the radio, right? If it had been 3,000 days since Vanderbilt beat South Carolina, I'm not talking about it on the radio. But when it becomes a radio meme that it has been 3,000 days since the last time you beat us in a game, that's a rivalry. The fact that it's worth mentioning on the air is what makes it a rivalry.
It was a rivalry before South Carolina won 5 years in a row. It was a rivalry. And it was still a rivalry a couple years after that. But then South Carolina hasn't really been competitive against. So how can it be your rival? A rival means that it's just not. It's not. It's hurtful. I hate it. But until South Carolina can at least compete with Clemson, it's not a rivalry.
Let's see. What is the definition of rival? A person or thing competing with another for the same objective or for superiority in the same field of activity. That, I mean, just because they're not successful doesn't mean they're not doing it, right? By definition, they are rivals.
Well, by definition, anybody that you face in competition is your rival. How you just read it. So every week, the team that you're facing, that's your rival.
I mean, technically speaking, correct.
Yeah.
They're rivals. They're rivals. I don't care that it's been it's been 2,999 days.
You could call other radio shows rivals, but they're not. They're not. We're number one. They're not rivals. You can only be a rival if you're competitive, and they're not.
Yeah, and there's one word that describes us. It's definitely not competitive.
No, you missed the point. We're superior and on top, and the other ones
right, but we are superior and on top because we are uber competitive. Because you and I both come in here and go, I am not giving that trophy away. They're going to have to take it from my cold, not dead hands.
Well, yours. I mean, I've seen it. I got to hold it a little bit. Actually, I don't even think I held it. I think I told you it was like, enjoy.
If you put a little extra into that game, that's a rival, right? Like you put a little something extra into that game, don't you?
When you put a little something extra in and it doesn't matter, it's not a rival. It's not a rivalry. I mean, and maybe to South Carolina, it's a rivalry. To Clemson, it's a W. And that sucks.
It's a rivalry. It's a rivalry. Texas says, so Lonzo with the little mark over the O in your name for some reason. Lonzo. I guess that makes it fancy.
No, it's an Alonso. So you put that, I think it's Spanish. It's okay.
Lonzo.
So you're going French, and I'm going Spanish here, but you go ahead.
So it wasn't a rivalry for the 5 years USC beat Clemson?
I pointed out
that it
was before and it was after. But then when you go like as long as it's went, it's no longer a rivalry. I mean, you can get up for the game if you're a South Carolina fan, which I am one. But in your heart, the team's not there yet. If the team's not there, it's not a rivalry. You got to be competitive, and they're not. Are they on the rise? Man, I hope so. Is the other team on decline? Man, I hope so.
This texter said they can be rivals even if they don't have a competitive rivalry. I agree with that. I'm not saying it's a competitive rivalry. I'm just saying it is a rivalry.
So that guy who always gets the promotion over you, that's your rival. You hate that guy, but you're never going to beat that guy.
Yeah, still my rival. I still want to beat him. I'm still going to bust my ass to beat them, even if I can't figure out how to do it, right? Still a rival.
Hypothetically, you don't really know about that. Neither do I.
Correct. We got trophy. I can't wait till what month is that banquet in?
August.
I can't wait till September when I can make that plural. Texture says, I do speak Spanish, but the O was an autocorrect. Alonzo is right. His other team is more Clemson's rival. You know what the greatest, you know how I know that it is your rival? When you step out to say someone else is our rival. That's when I know it's a rival, right? When Bama fans go, Georgia's our biggest rival. Is it though? Back after this on the Rob Brown Show, ESPN Upstate.
With a better breakfast and get a free drink with any of our morning making breakfast sandwiches. That's your favorite drink in a Wendy's cup, free. Fresh brewed coffee, free. Diet Coke, free. Vanilla Frosty-Chino, that's cold brew plus Frosty Creamer plus free. So don't sleep on this deal. Get any size drink in a Wendy's cup free when you buy breakfast.
Well, my cousin's back live on Facebook, so he's live.
Oh.
Wow.
Rough. There he goes.
Click, call, or visit allstate.com to save today. Lemon savings discount at Federal State. Saving up to 25% is countrywide average savings off home policy. Combining multiple types of discount for having auto insurance with Allstate and welcome discount savings at enrollment.
Welcome to AutoZone. What are you working on? So you got an oil change coming up. We can help you save on the right oil for your vehicle. Right now, get 5 quarts of Castrol Edge Full Synthetic or Castrol Edge Full Synthetic High Mileage Motor Oil with an STP Extended Life Oil Filter for just $35.99. Visit one of our 6,000 stores or order from AutoZone.com for same-day store pickup or next-day delivery. Restrictions apply.
I'm Pablo Torre, host of ESPN Daily, where every morning we present the best sports story of the day. And ESPN Daily is presented by Supercuts. Supercuts is the perfect way to get a haircut. If you're someone who doesn't have time for a haircut, you just check in on the Supercuts app or you walk in for a quality cut. The highly trained stylist at Supercuts can always give you that fresh cut feeling fast. And it's not just any haircut, it's Supercuts. Check it now on the Supercuts app or on supercuts.com.
This report is sponsored by South Carolina Education Lottery. Cash Pop is the new draw game from the SC Education Lottery. Pick one number from 1 to 15. Catch and win a cash prize. It's really that easy. Prizes range from 5 times your wager all the way up to 250 times. Cash Pop is the game that pays. For more, go to sceducationlottery.com.
Looking for upstate sports junkies.
These pathetic junkies? Oh, look at them.
You eat sports like food every day.
All right, folks, wrapping up hour number 2 here on the Rob Brown Show. What?
I wasn't watching, but there was kind of a hesitation,
No, 'cause
like maybe the mic wasn't.
I didn't start talking, though. I hit the button, it didn't light up, and I stopped myself.
Yeah, but there's kind of a stutter there. All right.
After the mic was back on.
Okay.
Because I panicked. I didn't want to go out. Yeah, you put down 2 yesterday. You gave me a big pillow to work with here this week. All right, coming up in the next hour of the show, got our most recent update on baseball's negotiations. We told you that Saturday was a massive day in the negotiations. So what got done, and a proposal Major League Baseball has made that a lot of baseball folks in the union are not thrilled about. I'll tell you what it is and what they're dealing. The saga of Novak Djokovic continues, and he has decided to make a last stand. We'll tell you about that and more. It's going to get weird in the third hour because, watch Lonzo's face, we're going to do faces and heels, too, on the Rob Brown Show on ESPN Upstate.
Presents your ESPN Upstate Sports Center update powered by The Score. The 2022 coaching staff is set for the Carolina Panthers. They have hired Joe Daly to be their receivers coach. He previously coached at the collegiate level, his most recent stop being at Boston College. He has also spent some time at Liberty. He was New Mexico's offensive coordinator and quarterbacks coach back in 2019. Kevin M. Gilbride, the son of former Chargers head coach Kevin Gilbride, he has been named as the tight ends coach. He was a defensive analyst for the Panthers in 2021. And Robert Kugler has been hired as an assistant offensive line coach. He most recently was working with the Texans this past season. Download the Score app today. Lightning fast sports alerts so you never miss a thing. It's why the Score app is one of North America's most popular sports apps. With your ESPN Upstate Sports Center update, I'm Matt Pauley.
Now, Orion Brent Offsides with Mark Ryan, ESPN Upstate.
Are we, in fact, right now, folks, seeing the last true run of the running back position in football? We heard Christian McCaffrey's going to be on the trading block. Of course he is. He's got $41 million left on his account. Never plays. Never plays. You don't think for a second that if the Carolina Panthers could get a first, hell, a second-round pick for Christian McCaffrey today, with a team that's willing to pick up the rest of his tab and he's gone, they would cut their losses so fast you could not even.
Yeah, because everyone's clamoring to take on that contract.
Isn't a super talented player. Isn't a uniquely talented player. Isn't one of the most diverse players in the NFL because he absolutely is. The problem is he can't play. The problem is he's never healthy.
Offsides with Mark Ryan, 3 to 7 p.m. on ESPN Upstate. Radio.com is now Odyssey. Download the Odyssey app and listen to ESPN Upstate in all the sports, news, music, and podcasts.
We'll make sure you and your people do everything possible to see that.
Speaking of Odyssey, that stupid TV in the hallway makes the Odyssey sound every time I walk by, and it doesn't do it to anybody else.
Never heard it.
Yes. And as it was pointed out to me Saturday, it's the AI keeping an eye on me. And I agree. No. I'm the crazy one they leave alone till last.
The third, the final, the best, the money hour. The Rob Brown Show goes now. This is ESPN Upstate. Hello, Upstate South Carolina. Hello, America. Hello, world. It is great to be with you. I am Rob Brown. Directly across from me, in charge of the broadcast, the great one, the Alpha and the Omega of ESPN Upstate. Lonzo is on the ones and twos. Live from the Ingles Market Studios. You can be a part of the program at 844-GSP-ESPN, 844-477-3776. You can text us on the Preferred Home Services text line at 71307. Start your text with ESPN, and we will read them on the air. You can also tweet us at The Rob Brown Show, at The Rob Brown Show, at Lonzo Onward, W-O-R-D, at Lonzo Onward. And, of course, you can tweet us all at ESPN Upstate, at ESPN Upstate. Make sure you're following ESPN Upstate as we try to tweet our breaking news and whatnot on the Twitter account on the daily. Make sure you follow us on our personal accounts as well, as things tend to, well, get weird. Most recent update on the MLB lockout. I told you that Saturday was a massive day in the negotiations. And it was a massive day because we are basically right up against the deadline where things have got to happen, and they've got to happen quick if Major League Baseball is going to have opening day on time. We already know that spring training is basically a wash at this point. Spring training is basically a wash at this point. There's basically nothing else that can be done to save spring training on its regular schedule, but perhaps there's potential for a condensed spring training followed by an opening day at the regular time. And Saturday would have gone a long way in that direction. But, ladies and gentlemen, I am here to tell you that, well, it didn't go well. And how do I know well? Aside from the reports from guys like Jeff Passan that have said, hey, nothing really got done, Danny Abriano of YahooSports.com has put up a report on Yahoo Sports. And this is, remember, the meeting was on Saturday. It is now, for those of you that have a calendar nearby, Tuesday. That means we've had Sunday, all, Monday, all, the back half of Saturday, and the front half of Sunday. So 3 full days so far for these two sides to be working on considerations. And the headline for this article, Lonzo, is latest on MLB lockout. MLBPA still determining how to respond to league's recent proposal. Not here is the response. How to respond. Just how to. I mean, I would start with an email, but, I'm pretty sure that's not what he meant with this headline.
Well, wording has to be completely correct so the other side doesn't misconstrue what you're trying to convey. So there's that.
Correct. Well, I told you 3 or 4 weeks ago. I told you 3 or 4 weeks ago that when it came down to it, the battle here, it's about money. It's about contracts. Sure. Nobody's arguing that at all. The argument here, without a doubt, is to win over the hearts and minds of baseball fans, right? Both of these entities want you in their corner because it is easier to win labor negotiations when the fans have your back. Told you all that for a while. The reason you're seeing more of Rob Manfred than you ever have before, the reason that at one point when the lockout started, that all of the players started switching the avatars on their social media handles to blank player profiles with no pictures on them. The number one reason was because they know they need to win in the court of public relations before they're going to win in any negotiating court at all. We had last week the news that Major League Baseball asked the Players Association to allow them to call in a federal mediator, right? To help host the negotiations, and the MLBPA said absolutely not. We'll keep working it on our own for right now. But per the Athletic and reporting from the Athletic, after Saturday's league proposal, which did move a bit in the direction of players when it comes to minimum salary and other issues, but did not move at all when it comes to the luxury tax, the next collective bargaining agreement, Lonzo, is scheduled for not. It's just not scheduled yet. They don't even know when the next time they're going to sit down together and talk is.
A future date.
TBD. It is TBD, ladies and gentlemen. We don't have a time as of right now. They don't have anything on the docket. They don't have anything on the calendar as it stands right now, because of course they don't. Because of course they don't. So what happened on Saturday? And where do we stand right now? Well, first off, as we mentioned just a minute ago, the league did start to come back towards the player side a little bit in terms of the issue regarding minimum salary and other issues. But the luxury tax threshold and the penalties that come as a result of teams exceeding them as of right now, they are still very far apart on. One of the key sticking points for the PA is that threshold and the penalties team get for breaking it. In the league's latest proposal, exceeding certain thresholds came with the loss of a draft pick, including the loss of a first-round pick for exceeding the highest luxury tax rank set right now, a penalty that would almost certainly be a non-starter for the MLBPA. Rob Manfred said last week that spring training would likely have to be about 4 weeks long, and that players would be able to report within a week of a new CBA being agreed to. So that means that, and this is according to yahoosports.com, the league has until about February 24th or so to reach a deal to prevent the regular season from losing games. Now, the lockout started December 2nd. It is now February 15th, 2022. February 15th, 2022. They have, according to Yahoo Sports, Lonzo, 9 days to figure out everything that they have not figured out yet. Lonzo's not much of a betting man. He'll make a bet on the air occasionally. Lonzo, would you bet $1 that they'll have these things worked out by February 24th, 9 days from now, when they don't have a meeting scheduled?
No, I would not.
Yeah, I don't think so. I wouldn't think so. See, as the league goes, they are down to the time to make the donuts. They can't even agree with what ingredients they're going to use, right? We're not even close yet. We're just not even close. The biggest issues between clubs and players, neither side's even moving on. I don't think this is entirely because they are both engaged in a PR war, but I absolutely think it's because they are both partially engaged in a PA war, or a PR war, excuse me. The players are trying to convince us that, hey, look, these owners are screwing us, right? They're screwing us. Bump the luxury tax up so that we can get paid more, right? Because the luxury tax is effectively a way for the teams themselves to go, yeah, we'd love to pay you more, but we really can't do that, because if we pay you that extra 10 mil, we bump up against a luxury tax, and then we owe the league stuff that we can't put back into the team. And you. And the players are going, well, then hold on a cotton pick in second. Why don't you instead bump the luxury tax up? Right? Because those penalties, if we're being honest, those penalties are penalties that you have decided to penalize yourself with. Those penalties are penalties that you impose on yourself. Don't take them out on us. The owners are going, yeah, but we're trying to keep a level playing field. I, for one, personally, me, an idiot, I, for one, absolutely believe that the luxury tax is good. Luxury tax is a good thing. I think it needs to be smartly handled. I think it needs to be smartly managed. I think it needs to be managed carefully. The players are going, cool, but like you could just raise the luxury tax. Well, there comes a point where you raise the luxury tax too much more, and it's kind of pointless at that point, right? What's the point of a luxury tax if it's so high that nobody hits it? Because the one thing and again, most of the time I'm on the player side. But the one thing that I think I would have to caution the players of here is keep in mind, teams like the Yankees, teams like the Dodgers, teams that aren't afraid of the luxury cap because they know they've got a redonkulous amount of money sitting in there behind them. Teams like the Dodgers, teams like the Yankees, when it comes down to it, if the luxury tax gets bumped, you decrease parity between them and smaller market teams that don't make as much money, right? You basically create a deeper hole for the Cleveland Guardians to come out of if the one thing standing between the Yankees and a billion-dollar payroll is the luxury tax. You create a spot where parity goes right out the window, where it doesn't exist anymore. That would be my big warning to them, right? Like, cool, you guys will be able to get paid more, but keep in mind, there ain't but a handful of teams that are going to be able to pay you what you think you want to get paid. And on top of that, only those teams are going to be competitive from now on. It's going to be the Yanks and the Dodgers every single year because they're the only ones that go, luxury tax, I ain't scared of no stinking luxury tax. And that's just kind of the situation you're creating. I would be cautious if I was the players for that exact reason. Let's take a break. When we come back, it's Lonzo's favorite segment of the week, ladies and gentlemen. It's time for Faces and Heels, where Lonzo and I take a look at some socially ambiguous situations and try to figure out who's the good guy, who's the bad guy. That's next on The Rob Brown Show on ESPN Upstate.
Sinuses are killing me.
I took Courtney to PF Chang's last night. Pretty good. I'm a fan, for the record. Pretty good. Yeah, right around the corner here.
Yeah, I've been there a bunch.
Yeah, I'm a fan. It's expensive, but I'm a fan. Food was good.
That's the children like to go there for their birthday.
It's definitely a special occasion kind of place. But I liked it. It was good. Their dynamite shrimp were
Did you
very
catch?
good. What's that?
Did you catch it? Maybe I'm thinking of the wrong place. It's where they do the thing on. Do they cook on the grill?
Hibachi. No. It's not a hibachi place.
Okay.
No, it's just
Thinking
an
of the wrong
Asian
place.
restaurant. Yeah.
I've been to that place too.
It's like an Asian fusion style. Not hibachi. So we go there.
Told you I'm fighting through a headache.
You're all good. I believe in you.
Don't, because this next segment's going to be rough.
They had this music playing on the speakers, which I can only describe as like if you took traditional Asian music and put it in front of a hip hop beat, right? And there was one song that I was just like, oh my God, this is incredible. Like I was vibing with the song.
You mean kind of like Shinsuke's intro with the rap, or is it?
Kinda, but it's more like it leans more on the like a hip hop beat.
Gotcha. Okay.
And I'm like, this is really good. So I'm like, yo, Google, what song is this? And it brings me on Spotify to an album. You know what trap music is? Trap music is
I've heard of it, but if you said, hey, is this trap? I'd be like, I don't know.
Yeah. So trap music is basically hip hop music, but it puts a real heavy emphasis on the beat. As opposed to the lyrics over. I mean, there are lyrics in trap music, but it
is trap music better to dance to, or is it just about what it sounds like in the car?
It's better to dance to.
All right.
Because it's just really heavy on the beat. Anyway, it brought me to an album that was 100% composed of traditional Japanese music played over trap beats, and the name of the album is Trapanese.
Love it. That's awesome.
It was so good. I'll play you the one that caught my eye when we get off the air. But I was sitting at the table and Courtney's like, you have to stop, because I'm like eating. I'm like, dude, this is so legit.
Welcome to AutoZone, America's #1 brakes.
What was the band that did Gregorian chants over everything? You don't. This was like in the 90s, maybe. was over that kind of beat, I think. I forget. I think Chris knows exactly who it is.
There is a Mongolian metal band.
Yeah, I know who you're talking about.
Called The Who.
Yeah.
HU.
Yeah, they're awesome.
Love them.
Yeah. And why can I not remember the name of that band? Maybe because my head is killing me. But
CJ McCollum here. Many of you have seen me doing my thing on the court, but I've also been doing my thing behind the mic. Tune into my podcast, Pull Up with CJ McCollum, to hear my personal insights into the league, detailed analysis of the game, and exclusive interviews with people all around the NBA and beyond. Deep dives into the latest
Enigma. That's who that is.
Juicy trade rumors and a behind-the-scenes look at life as an NBA player. Listen on Odyssey and everywhere you get your podcasts.
Hey, everybody else here. I don't know about you, but my car can you upgrade. I mean, the 8-inch steering wheel.
so you haven't heard of Enigma before?
I don't think I have.
I got a better shot with it than I did with Donny Osmond, which was not me. That was a texter. But it's
for those of you on the stream, Lonzo played me that Donny Osmond song yesterday. And it was awful. It was awful.
It's not awful if you're into pop and stuff like that. Rob hated it before he heard it, so I mean,
No, it was.
yeah.
I was gonna give it a shot. It was inherently.
It went to number 4 on the charts. That's all it was proving. You don't
If
have to
there's one
like
person
something.
in America that says that popularity does not equal correctness, it's you.
Except for when it comes to making money in movies. Popularity is absolutely proof that it's a good movie.
It's hard disagree.
If a movie makes $1 billion, it's popular.
No Country for Old Men is a bad movie.
I never
didn't say popular.
I never
say
saw
good or
it.
bad.
I
There's
never
a
saw
difference.
it, so I don't know.
There are bad things that are popular and good things that aren't. Like Trapanese.
Steven's throwing some Enigma out.
Time for Lonzo's favorite segment of the week, ladies and gentlemen. It's time for Faces and Heels, where Lonzo and I take a look at some socially ambiguous situations and try to come up with an answer to who's the good guy, who's the bad guy, who is the face, who is the heel. And I have got some good ones today.
Oh, great. I am
some good ones.
I'm fighting through a headache, and I'm going to use that as an excuse for being stupid, possibly.
There's no right or wrong answers here, Lonzo.
Sure. There's a lot of judgment, though.
There's no stupid questions. There's only stupid people. I had a teacher tell me that one time.
Absolutely.
All right. Here we go. This one, I'm coming in hot off the bat, Zoe. I actually, a lot of them, I throw them out there and I'm like, I got a pretty good idea of who's who, but who knows? Maybe we'll disagree. 32-year-old man, 31-year-old woman. All right. They have been struggling with infertility, right? She just has not been able to get pregnant. They've wanted a baby. She just can't get pregnant. And they eventually said, hey, you know what? It's just not our destiny. It's just not our fate to have a kid. Maybe we'll adopt down the line, but we're just not not in the cards for us. Well, they had a name picked out for a girl if they had a girl and a boy if they had a boy. And after the conversation got to the wife's brother, that they had decided to give up on having a kid, the wife's brother said, you know what? Me and my wife are planning on having kids. If we do, would you like us to use the name for the little girl that you picked out? Right? And they said, yes, we consider that an honor. We appreciate it. Well, then you see where we're going already. Shortly after, wife told brother, we are not having kids. Yes, you can use the special name that we picked out for your daughter. We're fine with that. Wife finds out she's pregnant. Turns out she is pregnant. Well, brother's wife has now gotten pregnant at the same time. Brother's wife really likes the name of the little girl and wants to keep it. Wife in the situation has now said, no. We let you use that name under the condition we weren't going to have a daughter, but now we're going to have a daughter, and now we're going to use that name. Brother's going, no, you told us we could use the name. My wife is in love with that name now. We're going to use the name. The sister, the woman we're talking about here is saying, if they name their little girl that name, I will not be family with them anymore. I will consider it an insult to us since we are now pregnant. Who's the face and who's the heel, Lonzo? This is a tough one.
When you decide to give the name up and give your blessing, you can't take a blessing back. You give a blessing, you can't take a blessing back. You may try to. So she's the heel. But there again, if you have to be given a name by somebody else, maybe you're the heel too, because you're not creative enough to come up with a name on your own. But I'm going to go with the original, the person who said, hey, take this name, we're not having a kid. And then they had one. That's on you.
I got to tell you, I know it's going to make the kid's life weird. Just
name them both.
Just name them both the same thing. Olive. They're both Olive now. Olive A and Olive C. They're just both Olive now.
As long as neither one of them are olive oil.
I mean, granted, like they're first cousins, right? Like they're gonna, assuming this family doesn't break up.
Do they live in the same area?
I don't know. I don't have that detail. If they live in like Florida and the brothers in California, who cares, right? Like you're gonna see them once a year at family reunions, maybe. Who cares?
Do people still do that? Family reunions?
Oh yeah, my family does it every year. First weekend in June every year.
I wish we did.
I love family reunions. It's my favorite weekend of the year. I didn't go last year because we had something came up. Oh, the Rona.
Yeah, I was gonna say it's probably
like,
probably
COVID.
last
year, the Rona. No, I'm gonna go with she did give the blessing. You are correct, Lonzo. She did, but she gave it under a very emotional condition that has since changed. And if the brother had already named their little girl, right? Like if that baby had been born and named already, yeah. If that little baby had been named and born already, then no, you gave that name and it's already been used, but the name wasn't used yet, right? They hadn't named the baby. That's just what they were calling it.
I want to know what the name is. How does it give the name?
She does not give the name.
All right. How spectacular is this name? Is it so uncommon that there's no chance?
She says they have a sentimental connection, so it's probably like after a grandparent or something like that.
Well, if they're on the same side of the family, they have the same grandparent.
By the way, I need you to know, and I don't think any of my Louisiana family are listening right now, so I don't think it's going to get back to them. My brother had his baby and gave it a family name, right? Gave it my dad's middle name and then my sister-in-law's dad's last name. I'm a bad uncle, I forget. But anyway, gave him the name. And then a cousin of mine who's relatively close. We don't see them all the time. We're relatively close. Cousin of mine gave birth to a baby like 2 years later in New Orleans, Lonzo, and gave him the exact same first and middle name. We have different last names, but gave him the exact same first and middle name. Is that off? Like, my nephew was already named Louis Revere. I think it's okay. He's none of y'all know him. He's cool, but y'all don't know him. He goes to a different school. And then she named her kid the same name.
Yeah, Is
that weird?
I don't really have a problem with it, especially since they don't live 3 doors down from each other.
But like they're
not going to the same school where the teacher goes Lewis and they both raise their hands.
Right, but we do have family reunions And they are both the exact first and middle name.
So do
Is it
we know?
stolen? Is it stolen? Do we
No.
consider that stolen?
No, it's a family name. I will say that my name is a family name, and there are a bunch of kids, not only my age but the next generation, named Lonzo. All the middle names, but I'm the only one who uses it.
Texter says, if you're Greek or Italian, you have several family members with the exact same name. No problem. Another text says, name them olive oil and olive water because they're not going to mix after this. Emulsion jokes.
Wow.
The Greeks are checking in on the text line. I like it. I like it.
It's like chemistry. It's awesome.
All right, here we go. Round number 2, ladies and gentlemen. Ding, ding, ring the
Oh,
bell.
we're not stopping with that one? Okay.
No. Oh, no. We got like 4 more. Young lady works as a bridal sales associate. This one's going to get sensitive. Young lady works as a bridal sales associate. She works in a wedding dress shop. Okay. She helps plan weddings and she works in a wedding dress shop.
Thank you, because there's no way I ever would have figured that out.
Right. So one job that you have if you work in a wedding dress shop is when young ladies come to buy their wedding dress, you are assigned to that bride, right? Like your job is to find that bride her dress. It's in this store, find it. So this young lady says she's been introduced to the bride, asked the bride if she's tried, is over the phone, asked the bride if she's tried on dresses before. The bride says yes. I ask if she has any photos. She seems annoyed and says no. I asked her what kind of dress she was trying on and how they fit. She says she's a size 30. So she says, I explained to her that we do carry a number of dresses that are size 30, but not very many. We have like 30 or 40 of them in the store. She said we carry about 400 dresses, but we've only got like 20 or 30 that are size 30 or bigger. She says you can try on some 26, 28s, not zipping them up and whatever. And if you find the dress, then we will figure out what we can do to alter them to fit you, right?
I was going to say, most of those places do alterations
Right.
within a certain amount.
But you can't take a size 5 to a 30, right? I wear a size 40 waist. I'm not going to the store and grabbing a pair of 28s and being like, can you all fix these? No, you're fat. If you want to wear them, lose weight, Rob. All right. So she shows up. She hates all the dresses that are in her size. She hates all the ones that are 28s. She goes in the back and she comes back and she brings out like a size 19 dress and says, I want to try this on. And the lady's like, not a good idea, right? Because even if you don't zip it, even if you don't button it, if you break this down,
I was going to say, if you break it, you buy it. So, yeah.
And she says this is like a $2,700 wedding dress. And she's like, it's not a good idea if you put this on. And she goes, I'm putting it on. I don't care. I'm trying it on. And the lady's like, well, if you break it, buy it. And she goes, that's not how it works, but I'm trying it on. And the lady says, you're absolutely not trying this dress on unless you give me a credit card to hold in case you break the dress, right? She said the lady gets up and leaves. She's all offended. She leaves. She wasn't buy a dress from us. She said the manager came over and kind of got on me, and I told her what happened. She goes, oh, I understand. And then she said the lady's mother, the bride's mom, came back and absolutely chewed into them for fat shaming her daughter by saying you shouldn't try on the size 20 because if you break it, you buy it, and you're not willing to pay for it, so no, we're not going to do it.
You know what this sounds to me like? A racket set up to get a free dress, but,
I am glad you're not the only one who said that. I am glad you are not the only one who said that. Absolutely. You can't let that happen, right? Like if she goes, okay, here's my card. If I break it, I'll buy it, but I want to try it on because it means that much to me. Okay, cool, whatever. Guys, that's not fat shaming. That just is what it is, right? That just is what it is. If you pop this dress, I'm out $3,000, right? I'm not letting you do that. It is what it is. It's not fat shaming. We have dresses that fit you. You don't like them? Sucks. We'll find you another store that you will. But the fact that, and I'm only bringing this one up because I went into the comment section of where I pulled these from. And there was an abundance of people that were like, well, you're not the heel, but you could have been more sensitive about it. Bro, that's $3,000 that you just want to gamble on? No. I got to tell you right now, I am not hurt. I don't care if I hurt your feelings if it's going to cost me $3,000 to spare your feelings. I'm a really nice guy and accepting of everybody. I don't care. But if it's going to cost me $3,000, I'm going to hurt your feelings a little bit.
I am surprised that she still has a job. because you hear stories all the time about stuff like this happening and the manager immediately fires that person.
I can't think for a second they would have fired. Guys, I'd have cost you a $3,000 dress, because here's the other option. The option is the woman tries it on, she pops the dress, she doesn't pay for it, she leaves, and now she's got to bring a $3,000 broken dress to her manager and go, I let a size 30 lady try on a size 19 dress. No, I'll take the risk. I'll take the risk. All right.
Is it physically possible for a size 30 to squeeze into an 18? I mean, I don't.
Hence the break it, buy it policy.
No.
Right?
I don't. It could be possible. I don't know.
I mean, me? I don't know. I got to tell you.
Might require spatulas and things. I mean, I'm just trying to envision how you could. I mean, you never know.
I'll put it this way. I'm a 40 waist. If somebody brought me a 28 and said squeeze in, I just punch them. All right? It just is what it is. All right. Here's another one. This one I'm very interested in, Lonzo. This one I'm very interested in. Let's see. Where's the age on this one? Okay, 27 and 25-year-old. 27-year-old man, 25-year-old woman, they're getting married. He has said that he wants booze at the wedding. It's a wedding reception. People come to have fun. The wife says, my sister has an alcohol addiction. She's an alcoholic. Only person that has an issue. The fiance, the lady fiance, is saying, I do not want any alcohol at the wedding because it will cause a problem for my sister and only my sister. The husband is going, wait a minute. My family is paying for this wedding. He's saying my family's paying for this wedding. My family wants alcohol at the reception. My family wants to throw a big party here. I will not be at the reception if it is alcohol free. She's going, I want booze at the party, but I can't have it there because it'll cause a problem for my sister. So no alcohol at the wedding reception. And he says that it is tearing this relationship apart. Lonzo, face or heel for either one of these two?
So you picked this one on purpose because alcohol is involved.
I did. I needed to make you uncomfortable today.
This one doesn't make me feel uncomfortable. And here's the reason why. You just said the fiance, the future wife doesn't have a problem with alcohol.
Right.
But she cares enough about her sister where she wants her sister at her wedding, but she doesn't want to put her in a situation that may cause her to, and we don't know how bad her alcoholism was. Obviously, it's pretty bad if she's addicted and she's trying to keep her away from that. I think it's commendable that there's something that she doesn't have a problem with, but she's worried about her sister to the point where she's willing to forego something that she's okay with just to protect her sister. He's the heel because this is so important to him that he has to have it, that he's not sensitive enough to care about her sister. How's he sensitive enough to care about her if she has similar problems?
Oh, I knew it. It's going to be perfect. It's going to split us. Yes, finally I found one. I sympathize with the sister. I understand the struggle of the sister. I've got family and friends that have struggled with alcoholism. I absolutely understand it. However, there are going to be, I'm taking a stab. There's going to be 100, 150 people at their wedding. I understand you want your sister there. I understand that your sister is very important to you, and that's all well and good. There are 149 other people there, 70-ish of them who are there to hang out and support me and party with me. If I want a glass of champagne at my wedding, I'm going to have a glass of champagne at my wedding. If your sister, I will do whatever else I can do to help your sister, right? I would go so far as to offer Lonzo a quarter of the dance hall that's an alcohol-free zone. If you have a drink, do not go over there.
You would, he wouldn't, because he doesn't care about the sister. But go ahead.
I don't think he doesn't care.
He cares more about the alcohol, obviously.
No,
he's willing to break up the entire relationship just so he can have booze.
I think he cares more about the rest of the people who are expecting to come and drink and party.
Sounds like the sister's not the only one who has a problem.
No, No.
Yes,
You're doing. Oh man, you're doing that thing that
classic signs of alcoholism himself. So, obviously, because the booze is more important than his relationship, which means he doesn't really have a relationship in the first place, because you're willing to put a material thing in front of love. So this marriage is doomed from start and probably didn't happen.
I disagree the marriage is doomed. I disagree that this is any kind of sign of anything. I like to have a drink. I do not struggle with my alcohol. Never have. Fortunately for me, I'm pretty good at it.
He's not, because he's decided that it's more important than the feelings of his fiance.
I think he has 100 people coming to a reception that are expecting to come and drink and gather and have fellowship and have a really good time. And she's going, I don't care about the other 100 people that are coming for you.
I think
this
there's
one person's more important.
There's
than
a
you.
2-letter organization that he needs to get in contact with.
He?
Yes.
The sister's the one with the problem.
No. He has a problem
I would say
because he can't put his love of alcohol aside for his love of his future wife. So
why can't I say the same thing for the sister? She can't just show up and not do it. And don't get me wrong.
So what you're saying,
I will get canceled for this.
Yeah.
Let me be clear.
I thought you said that doesn't exist.
I have family members that are alcoholics and have struggled with alcohol abuse. I have friends that have struggled with alcohol abuse. I have helped as many of them as I can help. But I have a very dear friend of mine who lives back in Florida, who was an alcoholic, who lost 2 different radio jobs because of his struggles with it. And we threw a Super Bowl party one time at a bar. And I said, hey, man, do you need to come to this? There's going to be a lot of people drinking. And he said, I don't expect anybody else to change their wants and desires because of my problem. If I can't get through it, it's all me and I'll leave, right? You can't ask 149 other people to change their life because one person. It is a struggle. It is a problem. It's an addiction. She needs help.
You went from 100 to 149, man. So more people in there that bolsters your argument.
I don't care if it's 5.
suppose.
If everybody was willing to say, you know what, it's cool. We don't need we don't need booze at the reception. Then it's fine.
I hope that the future wife was smart enough to realize that this guy is willing to put material things in front of the important things, and that she needs to move on and find someone else. The booze is more important to him, which means down the line, the booze is going to be more important than her.
The experience of the party supporting them to his entire support network of friends and family is what's important to him. And also, we like to have some bourbon to have a good time. There's nothing wrong with that. You're not going to paint me as the bad guy in the corner here. You're making me a heel now.
By the way, I don't have to paint. But I commend you for stopping yourself somewhere you were going, because you knew I was going to pounce.
All right, let's see. Do it. No, we're out of time. I was gonna do one more. Oh, here you go. Real short one. 35-year-old male is a widower. His wife passed away. He's got a 9-year-old daughter. The 9-year-old daughter was being babysitted. The child broke the babysitter's glasses, but it was an accident. Right? They were playing, they were roughhousing. The baby stepped on it's not a baby, it's a 9-year-old, stepped on the glasses that had fallen off the babysitter's face, broke them. The babysitter has asked for the dad to replace her glasses, but the glasses are like $900 designer glasses. The dad has said, I don't have $900. I'm not buying a pair of $900 glasses for you. I will replace them with a reasonable pair of glasses, but I can't afford to pay you $900 over an accident to your glasses. The babysitter's mom is now calling and threatening small claims course. Face or heel? Who's who?
Wow, this is tough.
As a glasses wearer, this is tough.
And as someone who also has glasses but doesn't wear them very often because they were really expensive, and I'm afraid I'll break them. That's what I'm going with. I guess the mom who's threatening small claims court is the heel.
I agree. The dad, listen, I have 2 pairs of sunglasses. One very expensive pair of sunglasses. Like, they're very nice, and they're my, like, we going out to look good glasses. And I got a pair of, like, gas station pugs, you know? And those are my cheap sunglasses. I wear glasses. These glasses, Lonzo, would have kind of become my what do you call them? Trademark glasses, the big wire frame glasses.
The ones that you have like
That I'm
10
wearing right
different kinds that match.
I got them
every
in white. I
outfit,
got them in
yeah,
red. I got them
yeah.
in blue. I got them in black. You know how much these glasses cost, Lonzo? $17.
Way to go. Did you get one of those deals where you get like 3 or 4 pairs from?
You know why
Good
I got
move.
them? Because I break them all the time. And if somebody steps on my
Really?
glasses, I
Really?
go.
You're clumsy with stuff.
Shocking, I know.
No one ever
If
would have
somebody
noticed
steps
that.
on these glasses, I go, hey, man, it's $20. And if they don't pay me, I'm like, oh, well, I'm out $20. $900 glasses to go roughhouse with a kid, it's kind of on you. Even if you are like a 15-year-old babysitter, it's kind of on you. Let's take a break. Come back. Almost towards the end of the show. Already on the Rob Brown Show on ESPN Upstate. We have lives here.
No and no.
Okay. But we still do have another break.
We do. You're evil.
I wouldn't dare. Be right back, stream. Hang out.
Starting at $39.95, but it's super easy. They don't even have to use that goop that Parker has used for his. Come on, Mom. I look more mature. Aren't you always saying it's time to grow up?
Good point. What's that website again?
MyAffordableBraces.com, and it's cheaper than our beach trip.
Mr. Clean, Mr. Clean. So a friend told me about Mr. Clean Magic Eraser, and his exact words were, "It changed my life. I used to spend a ridiculous amount of time trying to remove tomato sauce from inside our microwave and soap scum off the bathtub. It's like seriously magic, and my secret weapon for cleaning the kitchen, bathroom, doors, and walls, and even keeping my sneakers clean. Mr. Clean Magic Eraser. Greatest invention ever. Mr. Clean, Mr. Clean, Mr. Clean.
Mr. Clean Magic Eraser, the unicorn of cleaning.
Dell Technologies President's Day business sale has arrived. For a limited time, save up to 45% on all our latest gear to work from anywhere. With fast free shipping, Dell Technologies recommends Windows 11 Pro for business. So now's the time for incredible savings on PCs, along with servers, monitors, and docks. All with free shipping and quick installation and setup through Dell Installation Services. Get started by shopping online or contacting your Dell Technologies advisor today at 877-ASK-DELL. Again, the number to call is 877-ASK-DELL.
Welcome to Allstate, where you can save just by being you. DriveWise in the Allstate mobile app gives you personalized driving feedback, and by adding it to your policy, you can save for driving safe just by being yourself. Allstate. Here, better protection costs a whole lot less. You're in good hands with Allstate. Click, call, or visit allstate.com to save today. Not available in every state. Savings based on drivers and every state driving discounts. Savings vary. Subject to terms and conditions. Allstate Car and Casualty Insurance Company and affiliates of Illinois.
Get help managing your money for the life and years ahead. With Fidelity Income Planning, we'll look at what you save, what you'll need, and help you build a flexible plan for cash flow designed to last, so you can go from saving to living. Fidelity Brokerage Services, number NYSE SIPC.
Cutting the price of your wireless bill feels good. Really good. Actually, it feels great. You should try it out. So cut your bill by switching to Straight Talk Wireless. Now offering our $45 silver.
It went to a generic kid song station, and I absolutely left it. And the song that came on went, "Now it's time to clean up." Clap, clap. There was no clap. He said clap, clap.
I looked at the
Now it's time to
looked at the
clean
log
up.
wrong. There is a live in the next break, and it's Prisma. My bad.
All good. I just want to time it out. I already screwed it up, but it was worth it. That's it. It was great. I loved it.
Rob Brown Show. What do you want to talk about? All right. What's your name? All right. Hold on.
Do we have a Faces in Heel caller?
No.
Oh, okay. Oh, it's Michael.
It's Michael about
Stadium.
Michael about soccer.
All right, so earlier in the show, we told you about the situation surrounding the proposed stadium for the Greenville Triumph in Malden. A county council vote last night, 3-5 no in regards to negotiating about that stadium. But I have also put a disclaimer on the front. And the backside that I have not done a ton of research on this. Unfortunately, I was unable to make it to the meeting last night. I made it to the first one, was unable to make it to the stadium or to the meeting last night about the stadium. So I gave you my thoughts on what I know so far with the addendum that I do have some research left to do. I've got the county council meeting actually up on my computer in the office, and I'll be watching it as soon as the show is over. But my man Mikey Stathakis has called in to talk a little bit about it. Joins us now on the show. Welcome back, big fella. How we doing?
Pleasure. Very well.
Good.
And I'm still kind of on the fence on this, but what was your understanding of what happened last night?
So the understanding I got, and again, I will tell you for full disclosure that I'm getting this from supporters of the stadium idea, folks who want the stadium built, was that the vote last night was to sit at the table with representatives from the county, representatives of the city of Malden, and the soccer club to begin negotiations on the stadium, to put forward plans and ideas and infrastructure ideas, funding ideas, et cetera, and the county council decided not to have those negotiations at this time. That's the impression I've gotten so far.
Yeah. So from who I've talked to, is the county doesn't want to be in the stadium building business, and that the Triumph want $38 million to build a stadium. And this has happened before with like the Greenville Braves. They wanted us to do something. We said no, and then the Red Sox came in and had their own money and helped do what they've got downtown. There's a lot of businesses that would like $38 million to go generate economic impact, and that they don't want to be in that business. And there's other things that Greenville could do. Like we have Serene Stadium. We have other things that could be fixed up or retrofitted or upfitted with less money that might accomplish the same goal, as opposed to giving them a blank check where I don't think they necessarily are to the point where they know exactly how much money they need. I don't think they're that far along. They just think they need a certain amount.
Well, so what I got from the first meeting, Stacks, was that the proposed cost was $36 million up front. The Triumph were going to front, like, I want to say 21, though I may have my numbers flipped up. It may have been County 21, Triumph the rest, or Triumph 21, County the rest. But the Triumph were going in for somewhere around half to more than half of it up front. And then we're going to transfer ownership to the county and pay them like $300,000 a year in rental fees, leasing fees, in order to play there, which would have put the county on the hook for, $12 million up front, but then $300,000 a year in lease if they did nothing else back from the Triumph, and the rights to use it for other events, for concerts, for festivals, for civic meetings, whatever else they wanted to have, which to me, and again, this is personal and subjective, to me seems like a worthwhile investment unless the people of Malden just don't want it, but that's not the impression I've gotten so far.
Yeah. And the other thing I heard is like they just don't have that much money on hand, and they're not trying to raise taxes on the rest of Greenville to pay for a private project.
Sure. And the counter to that, all I know is what I heard at the first meeting was that the Triumph did not want to enact new taxes, did not want to raise taxes. They proposed that the majority of the funding that would have come from the county would come from bed taxes, recreation taxes, taxes that are paid on hotel rooms and things that tourists would come in. So they would want to bring the majority of that money from taxes that are paid not entirely, but predominantly from folks from out of town that come to Greenville on vacation, et cetera, which again, I thought was fair if you think the investment is a good one, which to me, I think it was or is.
Yeah, just from a business owner standpoint, I remember when they came to us about, we went up 2% several years ago on the hospitality tax to build a swamp rabbit trail as a temporary thing. It's still there. That thing's built, and they're just continuing to get a whole bunch of money that they spend on everything but roads.
Sure, and that's fair
Generally,
enough.
when you pass a tax like this, it goes to that for about 5 years, and then it's just more money for them.
Fair enough. Fair enough.
Like I said, I'm still on the fence. I want to find out more as well. It's just generally, when you hear like the billionaire wants Charlotte to build a cancer stadium, I think your general argument would be like, no, he can build his own stadium. But in this instance, people want the county to build this, the county to build them a stadium because they like soccer.
Yeah, I get the argument. I'm going to address it more tomorrow after I've watched that county council meeting. I appreciate the phone call, Stacks. Good to talk to you, big dog. We got to run to the final break. Twitter trending topics when we come back on the Rob Brown Show, ESPN Upstate.
Prisma.
Say about my friends at Prisma Health. Speaking of local sports, if you are a local athlete, and it doesn't matter what level you're at, middle school, high school, rec league, whatever, if you get hurt playing sports, you want to make sure that the folks who are looking after you are top of the line, right? Folks that know the injuries that people get uniquely from playing sports. Well, if I told you that you had the opportunity to get your sports medicine assistance from the same people that treat the athletes at the University of South Carolina and at Clemson University, you'd want that, right? Well, that's exactly what I'm telling you with our friends at Prisma Health. Ladies and gentlemen, our friends at Prisma Health are the healthcare providers for the Tigers, the healthcare providers for the Gamecocks, and they can be the healthcare providers for you and your family if you find yourself in need of orthopedic or sports medicine assistance. They are there for you. Not only do they have those folks, those trained professionals in all the hospitals, but they have not one but two dedicated orthopedic clinics that are available even on weekends in an urgent care scenario. So if you're out there running up and down the court on a Saturday and that ankle doesn't turn quite the right way and you've got a sprain or a strain or a twist or a break, you can call the folks at Prisma Health and they will have someone there available to help you immediately. It's just that easy. Go to prismahealth.org to learn more. Prismahealth.org. It's Prisma Health right here in the upstate. Oh, Coop.
Wonder if Cooper gets paid the same amount of money that
Eli Payton do.
Yeah.
He's turned being older brother into quite the lucrative career the last few years. All right, girls, let's go. Get that dub.
They lost, didn't they?
This one?
I think. For some reason, I thought they lost 4-2. Some team lost 4-2. It might have been them.
Touch your nasty phone. See if I care.
On air, on your smart speaker, or any smart device.
And don't give me any of that "it's not you, it's me" nonsense.
This is ESPN Upstate.
The 2022 Upstate Craft Beer Passport is back by popular
I can't remember when I go home to check and see if there are tickets available for Uncharted Thursday. Cameron wasn't going to be able to go. Now he is. So I definitely want to see that. So we can revisit, did they make a video game movie that's good? I think they're doing a lot better at it now. Because all the newer video games are basically movies that you play. So
I also think they got to the point where they realized that the correct way to do it is to stay true to the source material.
yeah. No, Steven, it looks kind of cool, but then the director came out against superhero movies, so so I'm boycotting. Really, I just missed the window. If I don't see something in the first week or two, I don't go see it. I just wait. Although the director did come out against. Yeah, it's Emmerich, isn't it? I'm pretty sure that's who it is.
How do you make a movie like that but come out against superhero movies?
I could be wrong. It may not be the same guy, but I'm pretty sure it's the same guy. If it is the same guy, it's a guy who makes nothing but disaster films. So if I'm correct, it's a person who makes nothing but a certain genre film, making fun of genre films, saying you can only make so many superhero movies. And that's not true. If that were true, comics would have ended, I don't know, 50 years ago or something. Because there's only so many stories you could tell. Comic-Con added Matt Hardy too, but we've already interviewed him. But you never know who might tag along. Wasn't even intentional. At least I don't think so. It could have been,
comfort of your home. Hands-on learning and lifetime career sessions help you succeed. And you can start your career in months, not years, even with no experience. Go to mycomputercareer.com.
You don't have anything to do. I mean, it's a disaster film. Why not go see it, Steven? I'm going to go see Uncharted, though. That looks like a... Just to see Mark Wahlberg's mustache, which is amazing. All right, time for Twitter trending topics. We've got time for maybe one, maybe two. The first thing that's trending is Dan Lambert.
Wow. Surprise on a Tuesday. Has he had something to say about Cody?
No, but here's the reason why he's trending, because people are already speculating the promo that he will cut for Wednesday night with Cody having quit. And if you remember the last
Brandy
couple,
went with him too.
yes, and he's been going at Brandy the last couple weeks. So he will be able to take credit for running the roads out of AEW.
You know, I'm not going to lie. I ordinarily watch the Wednesday shows on Thursday and the Monday on Tuesday and the Friday. I may have to find a way to watch that live, because Lambert being willing to lean into the I dare you to cancel me character, but getting a win could be great.
Yeah, the king of the heel promo right now is Lambert,
What
without
are the
a
odds
doubt.
Cody shows back up in the next, let's say, 3 months? I'm saying like 90%.
Well, your contract's up. I doubt he has a non-compete.
He does not have a non-compete. That's part of why everybody's intrigued by this.
Yeah, he's going to WWE.
It's a work.
Well, no.
It's a work.
No, here's a question. Does he show up at Elimination Chamber, which is Saturday?
It is.
If he takes a long flight in the next day or
Make
so,
it.
he could.
Guess we'll find out, won't we? That's it for us, ladies and gentlemen. We hand the reins off to Mark Ryan and Diesel coming up next with Offsides for the great one. My name is Rob Brown. I appreciate you listening. Thank you for hanging out with us every day, and we'll be back tomorrow to try harder and do it all over again on the Rob Brown Show and ESPN Upstate. Later, brother. Adios, stream.